So this girl Debbie's here to test my brain, see if I'm crazy or not, and everybody else's brain that they're going to test, okay?
I'll tell you right now, you're crazy.
Wait a minute. The chick is hot. How the hell am I going to concentrate?
I know.
She's smoking hot. How am I going to do that?
You can't have your behavior analyzed with a boner.
Yeah, exactly. Let's bring Debbie in.
Are you ready for this?
Ready for what?
For the big personality test.
Oh, now
right this way, right
now
this
it's a personality test.
What did you think it was?
Sort of a behavioral...
Crazy test, if I'm going to see if I'm not.
Well, it's going to test to see your mental health.
My mental health?
Yes.
How am I supposed to concentrate? She's too hot.
That's great.
Debbie, how does this process go? What are you going to actually analyze?
Well, we're going to analyze things from their personalities to things like depression, anxiety, you know, the things like narcissistic personality disorder, dependent personality disorder. There isn't anything that won't be found out with this test.
Is this a written, like, exam-style test, or
Well,
is this more...
it's a true-false 175-question test. It's highly reliable, highly valid. It's one of the best tests out there, so it's the most objective test we can find.
Now, do you know anything about the subjects you'll be testing, besides Howard and Robin and some of the people on the air?
Thank you.
What do you mean?
Do you know anything about their personalities going into this test?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a huge listener. I've been listening forever, so I know as much as anyone can know from listening to them on the radio.
So who do you think early on is going to be the craziest?
That's interesting. I probably should have thought of that before coming. I don't know. I have to be quite honest with you.
It could be a dead heat. I mean,
well, it could be a dead
crazy.
heat, and the people that like appear behaviorally more crazy, whatever word you want to use, may not be the ones who are actually underneath hiding something. So you don't know. It could be anyone. So let me just explain. You don't have to do any of that yet.
I already failed.
What we're going to be doing, this personality inventory is going to test you on everything there is to test you on when it comes to your personality disorders, anything that's in you, syndromes like anxiety or depression, or, you know, if there's a mental health issue, it will show up on this test.
Okay.
And the reality is we all are something, you know,
Right.
on the continuum. We'll all have a little narcissism, we'll all have a little, it just depends where you fall on the continuum. So you don't want to try to make up for one thing, because then you'll end up on a scale somewhere else. And so you want to, and also there's inconsistency scales in the test, so you might render it not usable if you don't try to answer as honestly as possible.
Apparently, there's no way to cheat this test. I actually sent somebody an email saying, well, do you know anything about these tests? And he replied, you know, it's like, you know what? Answer is as much as you're going to be to do so. He said, answer as honestly as you can. He said, because you know something, they will find out where you're trying to deceive them.
Yeah, he's right. There's these inconsistency scales throughout the test.
If you're crazy, you may as well just come out and say it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, Dr. Debbie.
Yes.
Is there a personality disorder associated with wearing like sunglasses indoors, like tinted?
There is none that is diagnosable at the moment, but we'll give it some thought. They might be odd questions, but you want to try not to second guess on how it's going to make you come out, right?
You shouldn't worry about how you're going to...
Right, and there's all sorts of inconsistency scales, so you just want to do your best to just say what you got to say. Understood. I think we're ready to roll. So, bye. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for my test.
You're welcome, and I guess I'll be back with the results.
Yeah, great. I can't wait.
Okay,
it's going to be good.
Nice to meet you. Bye, Hal.
And you'll see how normal I am and what bunch of maniacs I work with.
Steve.
Greg.
The experience. Overall.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever taken anything like that. I don't think I have.
Right.
Well, who knows? I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know, anything about the test. I just took it.
Benji, you seem to take a little bit longer than the other.
My nature for these kind of questions, like, it's like there's so many different ways to weigh them.
Well, you're also, an admitted overthinker with things.
I guess so.
You're very
he would
considerate.
take his time thinking and circling and question marking.
Yes.
Analyzing me.
Yes.
Right?
Well, it was fun.
Is this a hat you wear all the time? Is this the hat, or is it many different hats?
Well, this one started about a year ago, then Howard complained about it, so I stopped. I like it a lot. So it just started again this season about a week ago.
Interesting. Nice to meet you.
I like it. I think it's a fun hat.
It's very nice.
Well, why is it interesting?
Everything's interesting. Don't you find people interesting? Listen, you found it interesting looking at me during the test.
Yes. What did you notice about the test? Did you?
A lot of wacky questions.
Well, you're a wacky guy, so.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
well, hopefully I answered the wacky questions right, but I don't know. We'll see.
Why did you find it to be wacky? What just things you've never thought about your personality and?
No, it's just like they try to keep bringing back the same kind of topics about different things, you know.
Well, it's looking for consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think this test will uncover anything that we don't already know about you?
Well, I don't think I'm crazy, but a lot of people do think I'm crazy, so we'll find out, won't we?
You look very relieved, Robin.
I am relieved, because if they find me crazy based on that test, I won't mind.
Fred?
Yes.
You have a similar experience? Was it enjoyable?
I still think I'm okay. Otherwise, I'm sure that room was probably wired. So anybody that would be sitting there would be outside already with a straitjacket. So I think I'm okay.
You didn't feel like you answered any questions?
I'm sure I answered a shitload of questions that'll give people pause for thought, but fuck it. What's that?
I walked by, he was screaming.
It's really interesting, you know, sitting with each person, everybody responded very differently to the test. So that can tell you something about each person also. And I can probably talk more about that next week. But you get to know people's personalities. But interestingly, you know, the show is so telling of people. Like, people are so who they are in the show. Everyone was exactly who I thought they'd be. Like, there was no surprises.
I fully expect the psychiatric exam to go badly for me today.
Oh, my God. It woke me up a couple of times last night. I was like, well, today's my last day of being considered even sort of sane.
We're doing that around 7 o'clock, so we got to get some betting going, too.
See, I don't have that far to fall because nobody considers me sane. So.
Do you think the person that's actually crazy will seek treatment?
You know, I don't. That's the problem.
Well, if it's me, I will.
You will.
Because I think I'm fine. I would be shaken to find out I had all these problems that I'm not aware of, and I would go seek help.
You know what? I admire you for saying that, because I do think you're going to test very poorly. And no offense.
Thank you very much
listen,
for
it is
your
who you are.
support.
It's who you are. And you can't help it.
Why do
I
you
love
hate
you.
me?
I don't hate you. I love you. I want you to get help. I think you need more therapy. I don't like all this running around in enemas.
Oh, here we go.
Every minute. Even like the 15 Foundation.
What's wrong with that?
You're completely obsessed. And
With what? I'm obsessed with nothing.
No.
I have a lot of different interests.
Everything is very intense. There's tremendous frantic energy with all of
What
this.
is intense?
I don't know.
Just stop it. You're making this up.
You see,
You're
told
trying
me.
to paint me.
No, you told me to tell you things, and then I tell you, and you get upset anyway. So that's why I can't tell you anything. You're impossible. She says, tell me what you think. And then I tell her, if you're a friend, you'll tell me. I tell her, and then she tells me I'm a fucking bad person. Look, I'm worried about you.
Worried?
Yes.
What has happened?
I think after the psychiatric test is revealed today.
But what was worrying you before? Are you saying you're worried about me in the psychiatric test?
Yes.
Are you saying you were worried about me before?
Yes, before.
Before? What was going on?
You're frantically running back and forth with this California to Europe to God knows where.
I am not running anywhere.
And you all weekend you're busy. You're too busy.
My cat is sick. What, was I supposed to not pay attention?
No, that's not this. I'm not talking about this week.
Well, things come up. I would have been relaxing this weekend.
No, you don't. You don't relax, and then you're busy with it, and then you're consumed with this strict eating regimen.
It's not a strict eating regimen. I eat the way I like to eat.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just glad you had your head examined here. But listen, you are not going to be the worst person. There's going to be one person who evidently, according to the pyramid of this thing, 3 of us will be okay.
And I'm not in that 3, you say?
No, let me ask you something. Will you get help if you're in the 2 category?
Well, if it surprises or shocks me, yes.
Okay, good. Because you're going to be surprised. I'm guessing all of this.
Suppose you're the top tier. You're like going to say, I guess I'll go back for that 4th day and...
Well, listen, I can't do more than 3 days a week. I'm miserable as it is. I spent so much time in that therapist's office. I was there yesterday, and I didn't want to go. And then all of a sudden, I'm there, and I went, thank God I went today, because look what the fuck is coming out.
Well, that's usually an indication that you need to be there. The moments you really are resistant,
yes.
I really don't want to go here, I'm too busy, you're giving yourself all kinds of reasons that you shouldn't go.
Right.
Means something's up.
Right. And then I went in there, and all of a sudden, something was up.
Yeah.
Evidently, I was really irritated this weekend.
Really?
By a bunch of things that went down. You're aware of some of them, because I had a discussion with you about it over the weekend. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to.
I have to think about it.
Yeah, you have to think about it.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Right.
Yes,
so
yes.
I really was aggravated. But, look, I don't believe, honestly, I can tell you, today when we get the results of the psychiatric exam, I do not believe that I will be
top tier.
In the top tier. I believe it'll be Ronnie the limo driver or... And I'm being honest, and it's, Ronnie doesn't like to hear this. It's either I would bet the farm on Ronnie the limo driver, but Natalie Maines wrote me a text immediately yesterday and said, she goes, I'd bet the farm that Benji's way worse than Ronnie the limo driver.
You know what? If Benji is way up, if he's the top, I will guarantee you he answered the question so he could be.
Right. I thought that too. That went through my mind.
Yeah, he'd stick it up.
Because he lied about his age and everything.
Natalie has a bug about me because
what?
Because I said I thought I could hook up with her, but I think it's good to be confident with anything.
She thinks you're a fucking nut.
Well, maybe because I thought I could hook up with her.
Right. That ain't the reason.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
But I'm not the one craziest. I thought about it.
So who do you think it is?
Well, just based on Gary said it's a big shock. I wouldn't be a big shock to be the craziest.
Look.
And how crazy you are might be the shock.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't. It just wouldn't.
Well,
it
then
wouldn't
maybe
fit.
it's me.
But I don't think that's what Gary was saying. I think he said you're going to be surprised by the scale.
Maybe, but
what Gary has said, the shocking thing we're going to learn today about one of us, and this will be the person with the highest evaluation, that it's almost impossible to score such a high score in certain categories. You would have to be deranged, almost. And this test actually tests for bipolar, for aggressive behaviors, personality disorders, borderline personalities. I mean, this is a very thorough test. We're going to know.
Unless it's coming out that I'm the most normal, he's going to say that's the biggest shock.
Well, I don't know.
But I'll bet you on that it's Langford.
You think Steve Langford? Well, that's what Ronnie said to me. He said...
Well, that's what I just was coming in to say.
Yeah, he said everyone's forgetting about Langford. I do not think Langford.
No.
I think Langford...
Have you ever looked at into Langford's eyes and really talked to this man?
Yeah, you're right. It's disturbing. But what about Fred? Have you ever done that with Fred?
I talk to Fred all the time.
Right.
I have no problem with Fred.
You have never, really talked to Fred and realized what's going on?
I talk to Fred a lot.
You don't see what's happening there?
No.
Okay.
Then you and Fred,
I
the two.
Maybe it was me and Fred because
you two maniacs connect, huh?
I remember the day I met Fred was with you when I met you the first time, and I spent the whole day with Fred, and all we did was bonded the whole day.
Nobody bonds with Fred.
No, well, we did.
He has an affect. He has an affect.
Well, I guess we didn't bond then. I just thought we did.
Well, I think we bonded, but according to how we did it.
It's very hard to bond with Fred.
All right, Fred. So who do you think will be the craziest one here?
It wouldn't surprise me if it was me.
You know why?
I'd be glad if it wasn't.
I'll tell you what,
at least
Fred.
it would actually vindicate me somewhat from taking all this abuse for all these years.
You know what, though, Fred? I'm going to tell you something, and don't be too upset by this. It really could be you, and I'll tell you why.
Why would I be upset?
All right. First of all, I want to preface this by saying I truly love Fred. Fred's one of the most talented guys I've ever met in my life.
Butts before the shiv goes in.
Right.
Go ahead,
the shiv's going to go in.
I feel it. Go ahead. I'm prepared.
I believe you have serious mental disorders.
All right.
And that you...
You know what you're like?
What?
You're like the guy on the mental ward.
By the way, I just told you the same thing.
Who acts like a doctor.
That's
right.
Jack Nicholson over there. What flew over the cuckoo's nest.
I believe Fred.
You're deluded into thinking that you're a doctor.
Fred had a very rough childhood. Something I'm very privileged to know.
Sorry
and
about
shared
that.
with me.
Well, had I known then what I know now, I would have not shared any of that.
And he has certain personality quirks, I'll call them. That you know what I mean, Robin.
I do the best with the cards that I was dealt.
Don't leave me hanging here. You know Fred's peculiar,
please,
right?
You both sit around a fire and you stick pins in the Fred doll.
And like when I'm not in the room, that doesn't happen.
Not with me.
She's here.
Wait. Don't bring in a lady yet.
Well,
Oh, she's
outside.
here.
I'm going to get her.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to go get
You
her.
got to go get her.
And by the way,
Don't leave her outside. She might get angrier, and our diagnoses will get worse.
all this speculation, Ronnie's a fucking madman. And if it doesn't show up, then I'll know the
stop
test is
it.
bullshit.
I'm not a madman.
You're insane.
I'm not
You're
insane.
You're the
Well, that's-
angriest guy I've ever
bullshit, dude. You're angry too, and you just.
I've
I
never
know,
seen-
and I know you admit you're angry.
We're
but
driving yesterday.
What did I do?
He knows.
What the fuck?
What did you do? Tell Robin what you did.
What did I? Oh,
The cab.
yeah. What about it?
What did you
we
do?
went through that whole thing.
We're driving along.
Listen. You want to hear what happened?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I drive every day in this city.
Yes.
Okay. And this lunatic never drives in this city.
Right.
Okay. So we're driving up Central Park West, and this south, and this guy in a cab decides he's just going to cut out.
Uh-oh.
But I
Right.
didn't stop. I just kept going.
Right.
And I said to him,
I said to you, I was fascinated. I said, Ronnie, what part of you believes that you can continue like this guy's not going to crash into you?
Right.
And he said to me, I don't know. But
he's willing to go.
I'm willing
for
to go.
it.
And he's right, because I see these guys back off. I wasn't criticizing him. I admire his driving.
well,
He's
why am I a
fabulous driver.
madman then?
But your whole psyche is like one of like, that's madness.
No, that's how you have to operate in New York City to drive.
That's how you operate.
Professionally. If you drive like a guy like you that comes in once every 10 years and drives in the city, and he's going to jam on his brakes when
Right.
that guy comes to pull out. Instead of going, he's going to jam on his brakes. Somebody's going to ram into him. And, and the cab is
You
going
mean I would jam on my brakes?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the guy in the cab is going to keep going, laughing, going, "Hey, man, I'm on my way. Fuck this guy."
All right.
You know.
We'll see the test. That's going to be
All
here
right,
soon.
I don't care.
You better go get her.
I'm going
What
to get
if-
her.
well,
I want to go
nobody's-
look at her more than get her.
The thing
Right.
is, nobody came out normal.
Nobody came out
I don't know.
completely normal. No.
No,
As
well.
far as that, we're gonna see. We got to
Never
see.
said I was normal.
Like some of it could be like slight neuroses. It could be,
But
and that's-
everybody's got
Everyone's got something.
that sent the needle higher than normal.
Yes, that is true.
Howard, can you mandate a therapy session for the craziest person?
No, of course I can. You can't. Listen, it's just like on Celebrity Rehab. These guys are horribly drug addicted, and Dr. Drew says to them, all right, I need you to go into aftercare. You're a crazy addict. And they go, no.
I'm fine.
Right, listen.
What if they agree to it now? Say, yeah, I'll go to one.
Listen, you heard what Robin said. If she's that upper tier person, she said, I'm going to have to really realize that I might not know what the fuck is going on with me, and I need to go into therapy. So
I would literally have no grasp of reality.
we might even have her carted out of here in a
It
straitjacket.
might take that, you know.
Yeah.
It might be that I'll have a meltdown.
I don't know that it's going to be
You know how, like, if you unmask the wizard, he loses it?
Right.
If I discover that I don't know myself at all and things are revealed about me, I could just sort of disappear.
All right. I got you a beautiful straitjacket, just in case.
Something in
Bejeweled.
a nice
You'll love it.
fuchsia.
Listen, when we come back, Robin, Fred, Benji, myself, Howard, Steve Langford. Did I mention Ronnie the Mun limo
And
driver?
you did not mention Ronnie.
Ronnie the Mun limo driver. I think that's everyone.
Yes.
We will find out who's the most crazy. And evidently, according to Gary, who knows, there is startling details that you are going to hear. No hype. That someone's mind is really going to be blown. Sorry.
He also said, you know, each of us might get a little bit of a shock.
Each of us will get a little jolt. But
Actually, I already know.
You know
How do you
what?
know?
Jason told me the other day because someone was coming by from traffic or something. We're getting a sponsor for Fred's Crazy Contest.
He didn't say that.
He did say that.
He did?
Well, he was joking. Making a joke.
It probably is you, you mental
It is me. Come on.
Yeah.
I never said that.
Yes, you did. Bring the girl down.
Well,
I
anyway.
never said that.
Yes, you did.
Maybe Fred hears things as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing things, so this will bear it out.
When we come back, I would like to bet a little dough.
All right.
I have my feelings on who's the craziest. I'd like to make a little money on it.
Go ahead.
Since I dropped a fortune on the IQ test.
Pierce tweets from yesterday and today. We'll have some sad news for you.
So
the menu you're looking at is outdated.
Well, here's the one thing. So they change the soups every day. I have a list of the soups.
I give up.
Turkey chili. I'll get you turkey chili. That's good. I've had it there. Yeah.
Turkey chili soup?
It's like a turkey chili. Yeah, it's like a. That's what it is.
It's soup.
It's a chili. It's chili.
Is it soup or is it chili?
It's chili.
Go ahead.
Split pea, garden tomato vegetable. You don't want to get clam chowder. Chicken noodle, cream of broccoli. You don't want cream of potato and cheddar. Those are the ones I have.
All right, I'll try the chili.
It's good.
But that's fattening, isn't it?
Turkey chili? No.
Give me the cream of potatoes and cheese.
All right, and you want to wrap with that or just turkey chili?
No, just turkey chili. Yeah.
See,
I went over you.
I get a great smoothie from a place up where I live, but I got to tell you, like there's a smoothie shop down at Rockville Center. It's like 1,400 calories.
Right, I don't want that.
Like you know, you should try that one place that you're talking about. That you looked at the smoothies. It's right around the corner.
Good, Howard.
Because I used to get them on my way home.
I give up.
I'm sorry. Dude.
I checked the fat content.
I don't know. It's not working out for me.
I was talking to you during the commercials about my lunch. So Will sent me home with 5 menus from delis and stuff and places around here, like Pomp, you know. 5 menus. He said, why don't you pick out some stuff you want for lunch since you hate your lunch so much? I hate my lunch. The whole baked potato turkey thing wasn't working. They weren't making it the right way I liked it. I like a potato microwaved, almost completely hard, like a hard ball.
Really?
Yeah. I like all the nutrients burned out of it. But anyway, but that's I got to do it myself, you know, and it's a whole hassle. So now I'm looking for alternative lunches. So I went home and I did my homework.
Yes.
I took out all 5 menus. I studied. I hate staring at a menu, but I looked at every choice and I picked out like 10 lunches.
Okay.
Which I'm going to do on a rotating basis. Pick them all out. Will comes back to me the next day. He goes, I called all the places. You eat lunch too early at 8:30 in the morning. They don't want to make lunch, and it's too much of a fucking hassle for them, and they don't want to do it. I go, fuck. I had a whole smorgasbord.
Let me ask you something.
And
I don't know what
smorgasbord
these things are, but could he order them a day before?
No. Evidently not. Will knows how to do it.
Okay.
So then he said, I'm sorry, man. Now I'm back to that turkey sandwich, which I don't want to eat. So last night he got me more menus. And I'm looking at the menu. Now I'm down to really shitty menus because I think I'm just going to order soup for lunch. So I circled. I did a lot of work on this. Hey, Will, get in here. I got chicken noodle soup. I could do for $4.99, you get 16 ounces of soup. Is that a good lunch? Chicken noodle soup? I mean, that's a lot of food, right? Well, I'll be full.
Got those matzo balls in it?
I don't know what it's got in it. Then there's one called, listen to this, garden vegetable and navy bean.
That's probably a more hearty soup.
Yeah, with turkey chili added. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Organic split pea, I like that. Listen
I'm
to
just
this.
wondering, you like that full feeling.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So the bean
you like that
soup.
full feeling. Yeah, I like to eat and feel full. Call me a nut. Why is my lunch such a fucking hassle? Everyone around here...
Because you're eating at 8:30.
Thank you. I mean, that's what it is.
So, but what am I supposed to do?
I don't know. I'm hoping somebody hears this conversation.
Maybe I should eat lunch at another time.
Yeah, like
when
lunchtime.
else?
But I don't have any time.
I know. Maybe you can eat something to hold you over.
I hit the gym during lunch, and you know what I mean?
Maybe you want another kind of breakfast.
So I'm looking at the menu. I said, you know what I do? I got to get another kind of lunch. Oh, I see what you're saying. Another kind of breakfast.
Right.
Yeah, why can't...
You could do that. Anywhere will do breakfast.
All right, so look at this. They say here, they got make your own salad, but it's hard to eat a salad when you're on the air and you only have 2 minutes.
And they probably don't have that set up, do they?
I mean, they might be able to work it out for how.
All right, what is this? What is a smoothie? Like, does that have...
That's just fruit, sugar.
Yeah. Well, it could be yogurt and
Listen to
fruit.
this. Berry crush, strawberry, raspberry, and blueberry fresh fruit smoothie. But I don't know, is that with milk?
Well, it depends on who's making it.
Well, wait a second. Here,
Whether
listen to this.
You know.
The Pump is a very healthy place.
Okay.
They make something called Energy Shake, $6.89. This could be my lunch. Now listen to this. Cafe Vive with chocolate whey protein. Isn't that that's what we advertise?
That's protein.
Whey protein.
Yeah.
Cafe Vive?
What's Cafe Vive? I don't want caffeine. Oh, it's coffee. Okay, forget that one.
Right.
How's this? Fruits of paradise, rice milk. That sounds good. Pear, strawberries, blueberries, banana, pomegranate juice.
You're acting like this is going to fill you up. It's a drink, Howard.
Yeah, but that's enough for lunch for me.
Yeah, sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Because what I see you eating over there is pretty hefty.
Yeah, and I don't like it. It's too much for me.
Too much?
Yeah.
You should try to get a breakdown of the calories and the sugar content.
What's the calories?
I don't know, but most places do that because smoothies are
By
one
the
of
way,
those
you
things.
are officially gross. He was over my apartment last night for 2 hours. We had a meeting. He claims he had eaten improperly because I put out some nuts and fruit, and that he had something caught in his throat. You're sick. You have a cough.
No.
You were coughing every
I know.
second.
I had one of those wheat
but
things.
you had a phlegmy, hacky cough.
No, I just had something caught in my throat.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You're sick.
No, Howard.
And during the meeting, I turned to Gary because he's in my apartment.
I know. He's just like,
and I go, Gary, are you okay?
I was. I was fine for the whole meeting.
You were snorting through the whole fucking meeting.
I was fine for the whole meeting. And then in the middle, I had one of those wheat check things.
Right.
And like a thing got caught in my throat. It's one of those
Dude,
weird
you were
things.
coughing for an hour.
It wasn't an hour.
Yeah. It was an hour. I'm neurotic. I know.
I promise you that I was not sick at your house. It was one of those things where it got caught because I was fine.
I want him in on the meetings because he understands shit. I guess.
You think he
Yeah, I think he does. But he's sitting there and he's like, and I know he has a cold or something because he's like, ugh, but not a dry cough.
All winter long, he has issues because of the dryness.
No, but he has a hack.
I know what happened.
He's got a phlegm in him.
But that's what I'm saying. He always is gunked up.
Yeah.
Because of the dry heat and
But he
all
claims
of that stuff.
he's never sick.
And then when
I told you I was sick last week.
Listen to it. There it is.
That's what I'm saying. Then when something rattles it all starts moving around.
He was sick for a day, and all of a sudden it was gone.
I was sick for 2 days.
Are you better?
I'm better.
And what was that going on in my apartment?
I told you I had the fucking wheat check thing, and it just got caught in my throat.
For an hour it was caught in your throat?
It wasn't an hour. It wasn't an hour.
He's so gross. In a meeting, I'm trying to concentrate, and all I can think about is...
You know what? You don't do this to
he's sick.
anybody but me.
You're
you
the only one doing that.
Bullshit.
Don was fine.
No, I get that, but it's
David Height was fine. Tim was fine.
Were they all looking at Gary while he
they heard.
hacked
I bet you
and
they were.
coughed
No,
and-
Howard's one of those guys. Howard hears a noise. Like in the movies when it's hyper. It's
Robin, every 2 minutes was this hacky, phlegmy
for
thing.
like 10 minutes. No, not for the whole time. For like 10
You
minutes.
sound like you have fucking tuberculosis.
But
Anyway.
Black lung.
what I'm just
Meanwhile, thank God for him because I got so annoyed at this meeting.
Really?
It was going up to 2 hours. I stood up. I go, that's it. I'm done.
Meeting over.
I start yelling. I don't want to be in any meetings like this anymore.
Get out of
This
here.
is not what I got in radio
He threw
for.
us out. He really did. I mean, he didn't say get the fuck out of my house like he was mad at us.
I threw them all out.
He was mad in general, and he's like, "Get out! It's done."
Yeah.
So we all flew it out.
One of these. I can't wait for the play.
All I know is they were telling me shit that goes on here. I got so fucking crazy. There's a couple of
Really?
people going to get a talking to today.
What's going on here?
Don't fucking ask me. I'm on fire. So I stood up and I said, that's it. Everybody out.
Robin, it was a lot like that scene in Larry Sanders where he goes, I want to be out of the loop. I'm fucking done.
That's
Get
what
me
I
out.
said. I said, guys, this is crazy. I didn't get into radio to be a manager.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there listening to budgets and management ideas. And I'm like, I said, I can give you a creative ideas. You guys go fucking take care of it. It's just 2 hours I could have been reading the newspaper for tomorrow's show.
Right.
God damn it.
Get out.
But he said that too. He goes, that's it. He goes, 2 hours of my life I want back. I could be reading the fucking paper for the show. Get out.
Well, that's it. And he's phlegming all over the place.
That didn't help.
Oh, you know what it is? In my apartment, I built a little office for myself where people
Yeah.
could sit and meet. I thought that'll be so cool. Now, I haven't had many meetings there because who wants people in my apartment, disgusting people with their dirty shoes and everything?
This is what you think of after you have this thought that you want to have meetings.
So I had the meeting, and I know I'm never having a meeting in there again.
By the way,
Yeah.
one thing about that, if I can make a suggestion, it was really hot in there yesterday.
Because Don complained the last time we had a meeting that it was too cold.
Even Beth walked in and she goes, my God, why is it so hot in
So
here?
Beth knows how to work the heat, fucking lower.
But it's not up to her to walk into a meeting
What
and
did
change.
you do?
Well, why didn't you
did you jack the temperature up to 90
No,
or
it's the way I keep it. I like it warm.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you? You are old.
Yeah, I am.
Good Lord.
I felt like I was in Pompano Beach.
But anyway,
With
getting back to the smoothies, you have to be really careful. That's one of those things like people say,
Yeah.
oh, I eat yogurt, and it turns out it's all fattening.
Right.
You
So
gotta be-
here's what they put in it. Listen to this. Here's one. Green Magic. Like real green drink. Green Magic. Orange juice, pineapple, basil, avocado, strawberries, all in a shake. Now,
Oh, God.
no good?
No,
Oh, God. Look at that shit you drink. Why? No good?
It's all juices, which you
Oh.
know is sugar.
Well, what could I do? I mean, I got nothing to eat. I'm hungry. I just want to drink something or have some soup, and that'll be it. That'll be my lunch. I don't know. Yeah, I give up. I forget
the
it.
soup you said with the beans, I think you would like.
All right, get me that soup with the beans.
What?
What?
Huh?
Why do you ask me to look at these menus and then you act like you're a stranger?
Soup with beans?
Yeah, look.
It was a
says here.
cannelloni something or other.
Look.
Okay.
Right here it says vegetable and navy bean.
Yeah, navy beans.
Turkey chili, add $1.
You got it.
Or organic split pea. That sounds good.
Time.
So give me the garden vegetable for lunch today.
Today?
Not garden vegetable, the vegetable and navy bean.
We'll do our best today. So
You see what I mean? I can't get it. I'm the only guy who can't get it.
I don't know what to tell you. We got to talk to the manager. She's not in till after the show.
Forget it.
No,
I don't
no.
wanna
We're
eat.
going to make it happen. I don't want to say no to you.
Here's these menus. Find out what's in these smoothies. Do a full investigation. Get back to me. I have a whole staff and I can't get lunch.
Time.
I want to make a suggestion to you. Once you said you would consider a vegetarian option.
Yes. Where is it?
Remember my friend Joy who
where
runs
is she?
Candle 79? I'm sure she'd be willing to make you a lunch that was here.
The vegetables?
At 8:30, like a vegetable wrap.
Oh, I don't want that.
You don't?
No. I don't want a wrap. I don't want bread.
Okay, something without vegetables then.
Plain vegetables, no bread? Where's that Guatemalan shit soup I saw a picture of? I'll eat that. I'm hungry. I can't get anything.
It was filling.
I bet.
You wanted me to talk to Joy and see what she could do for you?
Yeah.
Because she could do any number of things.
All right, ask her what she's got in mind.
All right.
Please,
Because
I'm
she
begging
used
you.
to fix some food
Ask if
for
she
you.
could do a healthy kind of drink.
Oh, she can
smoothie.
definitely do that.
I don't want to be shitting my brains out, though, all day. With that drink of yours, I see what goes on.
If I fixed you up, boy, you wouldn't be holding on to railings as you walk.
You think? I'd get my balance back.
Turkey chili.
Man, look at that thing. It looks like that's a big pot of chili.
No, there's just some bread in there.
All right, well, I was able to get something. Now they had that ready?
For you.
For me. King of all media.
They're good guys over there. Oh, they brought the wrap too? I'll give you a wrap too. In case you want that too.
I would give that wrap. Hey, whoa! Don't give that wrap with you. Try the turkey chili.
There's a reason you're the producer. I feel bad I threw you out of my
You might
apartment.
take one bite and go.
I bet you were thrilled I threw you out of the apartment, right? It was enough already.
I was getting a little hot.
I didn't know you were that hot.
Romano. There seems to finally be some resolution with today's lunch.
No, there's resolution for a day.
Well, he seemed to really like the turkey chili.
He liked the turkey chili. Tomorrow maybe he hates the turkey chili. Maybe he wants a sandwich. Maybe he wants a salad.
Right, thank you.
The man wants some variety, which I completely understand. You don't want to eat the same thing every day, So this happens periodically. I deal with this. We try and get him a new menu. He gets tired of the menu. We go somewhere else.
I've always learned.
It's 8:30 in the morning. It's what, 8:20 right now. People don't make breakfast or lunch at this hour, so it's just difficult.
First of all, you're not giving him any ratings.
It's
You don't have a meter attached to
it's just
your
tough
TV.
because
Isn't that how they take TV ratings now?
Well, he's a picky eater.
He's a picky eater, and somehow I've become responsible for what he eats.
I don't know how that works. Like if you.
Which I don't mind because it is important to him. It is very important, probably more important than any of the stupid things I do around here. But is that why I went to Syracuse University? Is to become a lunch guy?
No, but when you've been given an opportunity such as working for the show, you do what the boss asks you to do.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that involves interviewing high-profile guests, and sometimes that involves being a lunch runner. I mean,
and sadly enough, being the lunch runner is way more important to Howard than any dumb pre-interview I do. It's the truth.
Hey, you got to keep the boss happy by any means necessary.
Anything for my boss.
Now, are you hoping that a listener or a restaurateur that's a fan will come through in the clutch and offer some sort of gourmet meal?
At least send us a menu, please. And it's not for Howard.
Okay.
But do they
It's for
have
somebody else up here.
check your DVR to see what you're taking?
So Yeah, that's my next step. I'm gonna have to taste all the food to make sure it doesn't kill them. You know, like the kings in England used to have. They had a food tester to make sure they wouldn't die, they weren't poisoned. So that's my next step.
But a temporary solution for now. You can get by on the turkey chili for a few days.
Turkey chili probably bought me another week. As long as it stays cold and shitty outside, I think turkey chili is a good hearty meal. So beyond that, I don't know.
Godspeed, merman.
Thank you.
You're in Howard's apartment yesterday. You're having a meeting.
Yes, I was.
Do you have any idea that this little throat clearing or this little?
Yeah, no, I totally had an idea because I was, coughing and I kept drinking water, and he goes, "Are you okay, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just got something caught in my throat."
But did you know he was going to bring it up again today?
Yeah, I had a pretty good idea he would. I could tell once he brought it up in the meeting, I had a feeling he'd bring it up today. There's no guest today.
Right, so any little thing that might have happened.
He might have noticed that I trimmed my left pinky nail in an odd sort of octagonal shape.
But he's ripped on, the phlegmy sound in your voice before, especially when you were a smoker.
That was a long time ago.
But he did say he would make mentions of that you're constantly clearing your throat and...
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to deny I have some issues from time to time. I think a lot of them are created by nerves being around him.
Mm-hmm.
I find that I don't have those issues except when I'm in there with him in the morning, and I start thinking about it when I'm in the car and all that other stuff. But I have been sick. Yesterday, that just wasn't what it was.
And he's someone who's extremely paranoid about being around, any type of sickness.
Yes,
like the other day, you were wearing a mask.
Right.
And so that just all contributes to one big, perfect storm of blame against you, I guess.
Well, that's his problem, not mine. I don't blame him for anything.
But going the other way, it sort of fulfills itself because then it becomes more psychosomatic for you. Like you're going to be constantly thinking about it and therefore clearing your throat more and the whole thing just becomes a big
So in other
cycle.
words, you say basically Howard's making himself sick by focusing on me, making me crazy, and then giving it back to him.
Exactly.
He's nuts. Steven Tyler's guy said, "Hey, Steve was great. Steve's on Twitter now. Could you mention his Twitter address?"
I gotta get on Twitter. I want to follow people.
You should.
I like
set up an account for you?
Yeah, but I want to be. Don't I want my name?
It might be taken.
How do you think I should do it?
Should go on his he says, look at his. I am Stephen T or something like that. Should go and see if Howard Stern's taken. I'm going to bet the farm
But
it
I
is.
guarantee I could call them or have Jeff call them.
I actually have emailed the guy, the owner, several times. I emailed him and he's taken care of. He took a guy down that was a fake me and he took down a guy. Somebody that was a
He's
fake.
probably interested in having the real
man.
people. Like, how come Steve Martin has Steve Martin?
He doesn't. Steve Martin to go.
Yeah.
You know what?
Because Steve Martin's a comedy.
Yeah, they probably don't do it if the person's legitimately, because that would be kind of
right.
A lot of
people. I think I saw that yours might have even said it's being held for you. I think
Really? I think Howard K. Stern has.
Yeah, right. So, would you check into it, Jason?
Yeah.
Or I know Jeff could do it, maybe.
Well, check and see if Howard Stern's taken.
Because I would like to. But will that mean people somehow can bother me?
Yes.
But I'm not going to Twitter. I just want to follow people.
Right.
but if you just want to follow, you should use a fake name then you wouldn't.
Right. Right, if you just want to follow,
Yeah, if you
just
just
go
wanna
on.
follow, use a fake
Go on as your.
But what if I want to Twitter something? What if I get inspired?
Then get the name. Why don't you start with the fake name and then see if the real name, and you can hold that too.
And who do you follow on that?
I follow a bunch of people, but
like Steve Martin, I would follow.
Steve Martin, I follow a bunch of sports guys.
Yeah, news.
You know who's worth following? Brie Olson.
20 seconds, Howard.
Yeah, she's good. Oh my God, it's absurd the stuff she writes on there. I need to be fucked.
I would follow.
Roger Ebert's a great one.
Ebert's a good one.
Ebert?
He's great.
Yeah. There's a couple of comedians that I follow.
Roper's a good one, actually.
You follow Robin. That's
no, you
fucking
don't.
funny.
She's a horrible Twitter.
No, but it's good material for the show.
This is a good topic. All right, so
I'll make a list for you and I'll check out the names.
It says yours has been suspended, so someone probably did it. You as fake, and now they're probably just locked it up.
Once it's suspended, you can never get it back.
They probably could for
let me get
Howard.
my name.
Hillary Schuff works with Twitter. Like she's, she has direct contact there, so I'll talk to her about it.
All right, and then I would follow someone.
Okay. I'll put a list together for you.
And someone will follow you.
Now with my new Android phone, I get updates on everything, so I'm going to get a Twitter account.
Oh, good.
So-
People have been asking me, get Howard on Twitter.
I'm going to get on Twitter. Jason's going to sign me up today, and then but I'm only going to follow people at first.
Oh, that's so silly.
Yeah. So I said, who should I follow? First of all, I got this letter from Steven Tyler's people saying, thank you for having Steven on the other day. It was a lot of fun. Can you let everyone know that Steven has started tweeting? This is what got me thinking. His name is, I guess he doesn't own his own name. I am Stephen T. His account is I am Stephen T.
Okay. I'm going to follow him.
Yeah, and I said to myself, I'd like to see what Steven Tyler has to say. He's a very witty gentleman.
And is he Steven with a V or a PH?
V. And so I was like, and plus with my phone, I have a widget that I just get notified whenever somebody
mentions you?
Or not mentions me, but tweets.
Oh, okay.
You know. So I said, I heard Steve Martin's a real good tweeter. I would follow him and Steven Tyler. And then I said to the guys, who else am I going to follow?
Well, Joan Rivers, Lisa Lampanelli.
One of the guys said Roger Ebert is the best tweeter.
He is amazing. He's always on there, and he's got good information, yeah.
So I'm gonna get in on that and see what's happening.
If you want the inane, Paris Hilton.
Does she have a tweet?
Yeah.
But does she write it, or does some idiot write it for her?
Sometimes I think it's her, because it's like, I'm going to go to sleep now. Naps are so much fun. Naps are great.
They are great. She's right. I need to read that. I've been feeling bad about napping. No kidding, yeah. She says naps are great, huh?
Yeah. That's one of the things I read.
Right.
Yoko Ono, I love to follow because she's always sort of announcing something or saying, one of her crazy love things.
And how do you know who to follow? Is there a list of everyone that you can pick from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might follow that because I like on my phone that it pops up. I'm digging my phone. Very involved with it.
Really?
Yeah, very involved with this phone. Don't ask. A day and night with the phone. It's my whole new life.
You don't get frustrated every time you try one of these new things.
Yeah, this is a lot to handle. I mean, the camera now is frustrating me and the way it interacts with the email, but nevertheless, I'm involved with it constantly.
Because I started trying some of these new apps, and then I get them, and I'm like, I don't know how to use it.
Right. What do you want, JD?
I had someone you can follow on Twitter.
Who?
There's someone that...
Well, everyone... I go, hey, maybe I'll follow Robin. And a couple of guys who will remain nameless said, Robin's the worst tweeter.
I don't care what you say.
I go, well, I'm going to follow. They go, what does she tweet about, I asked. Her vegetables. I said, oh, okay, I get it.
I tweet about my cats. I tweet about a lot of different things.
I was
tweeting about tennis the other day. I was tweeting about football.
Is it nonsense or you got something good to say?
No, sometimes it depends. But lots of people were following the progress of my cat, so I was, tweeting about Leroy Brown and...
All right, I'll follow you.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow you.
Put pictures on there of them.
But I will delete you if you disappoint me.
Go ahead.
Unfollow.
I will unfollow.
Did you stop following me, JD?
No, I haven't. You don't even follow me, so...
I don't?
No, you don't.
See, I would follow JD.
I want to follow JD. I see some of your tweets sometimes.
Pretty witty on there.
I saw Social Network. It was okay.
JD is...
I saw King's Speech. It was all right.
Oh, do you follow him?
No.
Yeah. Do you
but
have
I
Twitter?
imagine that's what it sounds like.
Do you have it, Fred?
No, I don't.
No.
Why
I probably
aren't you on
should
Twitter?
get into it.
You know what, Fred? You should have a Twitter account because
yes,
everyone wants to hear what you're thinking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think you should.
Everyone would be locked in with bated breath or finger.
Well,
there's a guy.
I would follow JD because I've read him on Facebook, and
Is he
actually,
good?
he's way more articulate when he writes than when he
He
speaks.
might be one of those kind of guys that's better literally.
Like he turned me on to the Big Mama's House 3, the trailer, and I loved it.
And John Hines said that he turned him on to a really good movie the other day, which I don't know what the name of it was.
Maybe Shattered Glass.
That's it.
I like Shattered Glass.
Shattered Glass is good.
He turned me on to a great movie. I only watched the trailer, and I know it's going to be great. It's called I Think We're Alone Now. It's a documentary about Tiffany's stalkers.
I have a documentary. I know I'm alone now. It's my life.
Yeah, anything with alone, JD watches because he can relate to it.
Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Home Alone 3, Home Alone 3D.
Gary, does your Twitter account get hacked every week?
It got hacked a couple of times, but I think I got it fixed.
How do they do that?
I think I figured it out. I have when you want to put up a picture, it's not so easy. So there's a thing called TwitPic.
Yeah.
And I think they were hacking through that, so I just shut that down. I think I'm fine now.
Oh.
But it kept putting up this stupid diet. It said, hey, guess what? I lost 8 pounds in 7 days, and you can too. And then I had a website, and I kept saying it's not me. And then people were complaining that they were getting ripped off. People, were being goofy.
There's a couple people you can follow that you might like. There's one called Sexy Candids.
Hey, someone told me Brie Olson's good to follow.
Yeah, well, she just posts like dirty shit, like I want a guy to just come inside me and use me like a whore.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
You know the people that Kanye West, a lot of people like to follow because he says ridiculous things. Who is the other one that everybody? 50 Cent. Sometimes you see him getting, like he'll be talking to girls, asking them to do certain things, and you see him commenting on what the girls are doing for him.
Wow. See, I don't care about that.
I find him interesting.
See here, Gary gave me a list. Like Bill Maher, I would follow. I like him.
Yeah, I'm not following Bill Maher yet. I would do that.
Conan O'Brien, I'd follow.
I follow him.
Is he good?
Yeah.
Tracy Morgan, I'd follow.
Definitely. I don't follow Tracy.
Does he even tweet?
It says here he does. See, Joan Rivers, Steve Martin, Gilbert Gottfried, I'd follow.
Joan Rivers is funny. She was always saying funny stuff.
Gary Shanley, but it says here he never twitters. So then what's the point of following him?
Exactly. That's why I don't follow Tracy Morgan. I don't think he twitters that much.
Really?
Roger Ebert, everyone said is the best.
Yeah.
John Stamos twitters?
He's on there.
He don't Twitter the truth, though. What's going on for real?
Right. He doesn't tell you what's really going on.
He's trolling. Yeah. John Favreau, I'd follow him.
I think I follow him.
Let's see here. People from work. Gary Delabate. Ralph, evidently.
Is he on? I didn't know that.
With that Geek Time stuff.
John Hine, I think, is on.
Steve Brandano.
Lisa Jisms. Oh, that's Lisa. Lisa G is. Oh, Lisa. Oh, I thought it was Lisa Jisms.
That's a good name.
Page 2. So Benji, either yesterday or the day before yesterday, first of all, everyone thinks he took an Ambien and then was walking around being weird. So
which would be like the second time.
Bumping into walls and everything. But in Blue, he went and asked. This is cut down from 5 minutes. He asked Lisa G out on a date, and she sort of agreed in a weird way.
But Lise,
He wanted to Skype with me. That's how it started.
I don't know what you kids call it these days, but get a couple drinks in her first.
I'm not gonna, if it's not what you want, it's fine. But I would love to take you out on a date if you'd like to come on a date, a real date. And if it's not going well, you can bail at any time.
Ew, I would never do that. Oh, you mean like have my girlfriend call me on the phone and go, I gotta go, there's a cat emergency?
Let's start with a short 15-minute, 20
Already got it, whey protein.
And then if you want to hang out more, we'll hang out more.
He doesn't
He's high. He made it remember he did it. He did, he banged it.
I think I'm married.
Hey, did you take an Ambien at work yesterday, Benji? Because everyone said you were high as a fucking kite. What was that? What was that about? Why are you doing that?
I don't
Is that for
usually do
attention?
that. Yeah.
Is that what happened? Because everyone said you were wrecked.
I was just trying to get attention.
Oh. Yeah, he was like walking into he takes Ambien here and he goes, I want it to kick in by the time I get home, and it's like it's a shtick now. He's walking around all high, and then he asked Lisa G out on a date for real.
For real? What do you mean?
Yeah, I got it on tape if you want to hear it. Were you for real on this?
I was for real, but I was also having fun. So it's sort of a combination, I guess. But Lise,
And what's this lease? Like Rob and lease? Is
It's
that your
cool.
move?
Yeah.
It's cool. It sounds so fucked up. I can't even
It's
tell
lease.
you. Like when he goes, Rob.
I like saying Rob.
No, yeah, good.
Try, say
Well,
it.
Robin doesn't like it. No, fuck off.
Look, you would like it. Rob.
You're an asshole.
Try it.
Rob.
You're doing it.
I'm doing it like Rob.
It's nice. It's a fun way to feel.
Her name's Lisa. What is it?
He's a weirdo, dude. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
He is a friggin' weirdo.
What'd he do?
That girl yesterday when she was here.
Yeah.
So when we went
Casey?
Yeah. When you went to commercial break, he came out in the hallway and he was just standing there like he does this a lot too. He'll just stare at people.
Yeah.
He'll stare at
He does that to me.
He'll stare at
We
the
had a
guest.
staff meeting yesterday. He starts staring at me like I'm a woman.
Well, then he was high, right?
But yesterday it was
know.
like really weird because he was like just standing there in the corner and he was just staring at this girl like she was like from outer space.
Because
Well, I've seen him do that before. Anytime he thinks one of the guests is hot
Yeah.
and he might be able to get him,
Yeah, he
goes out there when they're doing that post-interview
Yeah.
and tries to get into the interview somehow to get a chance to talk to them personally.
like Brachu.
Yeah, but usually he'll start talking to them.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday he wasn't talking; he was just standing there,
Yeah, because
like
he
a
thinks
statue.
because he thinks he's hot, and like the girls are gonna go for him.
It was so funny, man.
Yeah, well, here he is with Lisa G on his Ambien. When did you take the Ambien? Because I saw you in a staff meeting. You were fine.
It was about an hour after that.
Oh, okay. What do you do here all day?
Yesterday, I was just at the staff meeting. I had to. I just sent in some quick things for Gary coming up.
Why were you staring at me during the staff meeting? It was weird. Remember, I looked over you and I said, "Can you stop?" Remember, I was just kind of like, okay, man. You were like gazing at me.
Really?
Yeah, it was creepy.
Like boring
he
a
did
hole
that?
into you with his
maybe,
eyes?
You know what? That might have been when we had that bad chair that fell back.
Yeah.
That might have been when I fell back on the chair. Maybe
No.
Maybe, I don't know.
chair lash.
I mean, I like looking at you, but I don't think I stare at you.
You usually leave right after the wrap-up show. Why did you stay around all day?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, I had to talk to Tim and I had to do some stuff here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was another thing, because he was waiting for Tim. So every time, like, he'd go, is Howard's meeting over? Is Tim out yet? And then he'd go to Gary's office looking for Gary. Is Gary in there? No, I see Gary's in the green room. He's in a meeting with somebody. Oh, okay. And then he starts wandering around.
Yeah, there's nothing
and
to
then he
do.
comes, he goes, is Howard in the studio? I go, no, Howard's in the bathroom in the studio. He goes, oh. And
Right, because I thought I had to go back in the studio, and I thought you might be having a meeting, and I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, here he is
That's
doing...
really weird.
You're weird, man.
Here he is with Lisa G.
I love you, Benji, man. You're weird.
High as a kite.
But Lise,
He wanted to Skype with me. That's how it started.
Listen, I don't know what you kids call it these days,
That's
but
truly-
get a couple drinks in her first.
I'm not gonna, if it's not what you want, it's fine. But I would love to take you out on a date if you'd like to come on a date, a real date. And if it's not going well, you can bail at any time.
Ew, I would never do that. Oh, you mean like have my girlfriend call me on the phone, go, oh, I gotta go, there's a cat
We can
emergency?
even start with a short 15-minute, 20-minute meet for drinks, and then if you want to hang out more, we'll hang out more.
He doesn't look high to you right now?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, come on.
He looks like a guy who's asking to chick out.
Yeah, hi.
Lise,
You're on Ambien, you're on something. I know you are. I know you. What did you take?
you're avoiding...
You are avoiding, Lisa. Here's the
said-
question on the table. Will you go out for drinks and possibly dinner with Benji, is what he's asking.
As a date.
As a date.
I will go out with Benji if there are other people around. No,
Now I want to do a real date.
Why wouldn't you do it alone?
because I like Benji as a friend and a coworker,
Right.
and I think he would be better with someone younger.
I really would like to take you on a date, seriously. We have a nice connection.
We do.
What about trying the group date first and then
Possibly
seeing
leads
if
to-
it leads to a real date?
I would do that if that was the intention.
Okay. What, can we agree that you guys put together a group date, and if that goes well, you'll give them a one-on-one date?
Yeah.
All right.
And you'll treat it seriously?
Yeah, sure.
And you'll treat it seriously?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Lisa was being very diplomatic. It's her way of saying Benji is fat and ugly, and I don't want to go out with him.
Oh, what's funny, she says he'd be better off with somebody younger. I don't think there's that much age difference between Benji.
That's the weird thing.
You don't think so?
No. Hey, Lisa, who's doing the news thing
It
here?
might be Steve today. I'm
All
not
right.
sure. Oh, it's
Oh,
Lisa.
it's Lisa. Would you ever look at him seriously in a romance, do you think?
No.
No.
We're so opposite.
Right.
But if he got you alone, see, this is what he does.
Right.
He wears women down.
That's
No
my
kidding.
Secret. That's my secret.
I may be fat, but there's a thin man inside.
I get them alone and talk to them. That's my secret.
Yeah, well, that's a good secret.
Don't
Keep it to
scream or I'll
yourself.
stab you.
Right.
I'm on time. He's late. I love to be organized. He's a mess.
But you're not physically attracted to him, I think. I mean, bottom line, I think you can put up with a lot if you're physically attracted to a guy.
But has anybody ever been physically attracted
yeah.
to Benji?
Yeah, I mean, he gets girls.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He
Right.
wears them down. He stays
Right.
around until they can't avoid him.
I don't know what his secret is, but he does get women.
Ask Gary the note he got the other day.
What?
From who?
You know what? There was a couple came to the wrap-up show, and the girl was really cute.
Yeah.
And the guy sent me a note afterwards. He's like, thanks for having us. By the way, he goes, I never understood Benji, but my girlfriend thought he was really, really cute.
Yeah, notice it's his girlfriend who doesn't have to go out with Benji. You know.
The girl from last year's Christmas party,
Yeah.
she said that Benji kept coming around and hanging around
And wouldn't leave
until
her alone.
she finally slept with him.
What are you talking about?
Is that your plan with Lisa, just to keep nudging her?
No, I was just fucking around. I was having fun, and I thought we were all having fun.
But you're attracted to her. I mean, you'd like
Do
to
I
go out
find
with her.
her attractive?
Yeah.
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 And you were sort of serious if she would go for it.
I sort of serious, but also a show thing. Do I think
You guys could be fuck buddies.
Yeah, I'd be a fuck buddy with Lisa if she wants to be.
Right.
Let's see, I have half hour to kill.
Lisa, if you have real deep needs for a man, then he can fill them for you.
No strings attached. He's your Ashton Kutcher.
We can do it once a week, too. Start with that and see how it works.
Right, thank you.
Why don't you start this way? You have sex, see how it goes, and then you'll make more.
Won't even commit to
Why don't
once
you
a
do
week.
it instead? I'm busy.
I'm available at noon
Start without
today.
But Robin, that girl didn't say that.
What?
You said
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she told us that on the show. She said that you just kept hanging around, and she finally just had sex with you.
You came to her house and wouldn't leave.
Oh, okay. You're talking about a year ago. I thought you said the last Christmas.
No, I meant last year.
No, that was a different victim.
So, Lisa,
Yes.
when Benji attempted to sort of ask you out yesterday, you believe he was intoxicated or on some sort of he was medicated in some sort of way?
Yeah, definitely.
What gave that away physically? Were his pupils dilated? Were
His eyes were half shut. He was stumbling. He was mumbling. Yeah.
You don't think it was
even
part
ask
of
Steve? Steve was here. He saw the whole thing.
Steve? He seems sedated, to say the least.
I don't know. I couldn't tell whether it was just an extreme case of shtikoma, but it was very entertaining.
And that lessened how sincerely you welcomed his advances, Lisa.
Yeah.
Because you thought
who
you thought
could
he was
take him seriously?
You thought he was doped up.
You know, it gets you thinking, like, how do these girls say yes to him and then sleep with him? Like, what is he doing?
Is Robin right that he wears you down? Is he wearing you down right now?
No, he's not wearing me down. He's becoming a pest.
But like I was saying to you earlier, you could just, if you really truly didn't want, anything to do with Benji, you could just cut him off.
But he's nice and he's a coworker. I'm not going to say, get out of my face, you asshole. I'm not going to say that.
He's harmless.
Yeah.
Cute in a way, I feel like you feel.
He's nice, he's smart. There's so many good qualities about him, but then he's got those real irritating ones, and then you don't see the nice qualities. So, yeah, that was happening yesterday. He wouldn't leave.
Now, let's say you guys actually make this group date happen.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the road. And things go well. You see the charming side of Benji is out. He's cute, he's funny, he's whimsical. Any chance of a follow-up one-on-one?
I don't think so, because I can just imagine going back to his apartment and it's a mess. It's like hoarders. That I'd throw up. That would make me sick. I wouldn't even be able to get naked. I don't know how women get naked for him in a place if he lives in a pigsty. Ew.
So, are you saying that if he cleaned up his apartment, you'd...
Oh, he'd have to start being on time, clean up his apartment. I'd have to change him. Who has time for that? We're so opposite.
But there's that little crack of the window is open.
Whose crack?
Well.
Oh, yeah, the crack of his ass.
No, it just seems like there's that little window. The window of hope is slightly open. You're not giving him a no. You're saying there's a chance.
I didn't say there's a chance. I said I'd go out on a group thing together.
Maybe Benji cleans up his act. He becomes a little more responsible. Holds on to some of those charming qualities at the same time.
And you think that's going to happen? He was voted almost the most crazy, right?
I don't know.
Oh,
I see a change from Lisa G to Lisa B in the near future. Benj, was there any chance that you were a little bit medicated yesterday with Lisa? Lisa and Langford both tend to think that you were.
I said I was.
For real though, you were on Ambien?
No, I took one Ambien. I was gonna go home and go to sleep.
You all right?
So that's the there was no.
Huh?
But as far so let me get to my next
I'll take
question.
a blood test.
So
I'll be happy to take a blood test.
Benji, as far as a relationship between you and Lisa G, were you serious? Are you serious with your advances, or is it?
I gotta go back.
Okay, I'll get
serious,
to you afterwards.
I was fucking around, but I was having fun with it. Do you know what I mean? I was being a little flirty, but I was more joking around than being serious.
Are you gonna keep joking with her like this, or do you really ultimately want to get in her pants?
Yeah, I would love to fuck her, but that has nothing to do with this. I mean, but it's not. Listen, she's a cute girl, but she's not that special that I want to fuck her.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of cute girls I want to fuck.
She's not at the top of your to-do list.
No. Of the girls that you guys know that work on the show, maybe. She's in the top 3 or so.
Well, in a male-dominated staff.
Now, she's cute. She has a nice body, but no, I don't dwell on that too much.
Are you going to keep pressing like Robin says you tend to do, or that you wear down women with your advances?
I think I'll try to rub against her in the hallway and stuff, you know. Try to walk by her. And...
see if friction leads to something more?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Benj.
No, I'm not going to do anything. She's asked me out before.
It's true. I want to see this happen.
Yeah.
This way, in here?
Yes. Sorry. So you're going on the offensive?
I think it's anyway, attack, and then if I go down sailing, well, you know, at least I tried.
I mean, what happened? Because
I don't know. I thought I was his best friend, seriously.
I thought the interview went extremely well.
It went great. He seemed to really like it. I met him at the basketball. We got on great. Next thing I know, he's dumping all over me on his show. So you have to ask how. Something's gone horribly wrong.
Well, hopefully we can clear things up.
I hope we can.
All right. Good luck today, Piers.
Thanks, mate. Nice to see you guys again.
Good to see you, too.
Piers Morgan is here. He seems to have set up some sort of rivalry with me. He even emailed me last night and said he wanted to play me chess on the radio.
Oh, jeez.
He's feeling very competitive with me.
He's got to beat you at something.
There you are.
So ridiculous, though.
By the way, I like your relaxed look with the jeans.
Yeah, I was
Thank
like,
you.
this is a different look.
I was just dressing down for you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
The acceptable face of Sirius over there.
Piers, how
are you?
Good to see you. Piers, will you ever wear this casual look on your show?
I might do. Next time you come on, because I felt severely overdressed when you came on before.
Well, I actually dressed up for your show. I wore a suit and that kind of thing.
No, you were. I mean, I thought we were great friends after that, but things went horribly wrong suddenly.
But I don't
on your
think
side,
on your
though.
side.
No, you started the attack.
Piers, listen to me. Let me clear this up first of all. I told you after the interview I like you.
You did.
I thought the premise of the interview, though, the thing that you were trying to set up before the interview was that you and I were at each other's throats, and that you are the new king of all media. And the only point I was trying to say is I think you're setting yourself up for some sort of weird criticism. Not from me, but from the press, because you're putting all this pressure on yourself. You're claiming you're the king of all media, and I get it. You're being boisterous. You're being grandiose. But at the same point, then the ratings come out, and then people are looking at you and then bashing you and saying you're not the king of all media. And I even said to you,
yeah, but hang on, it is early days, Howard. I've only been doing it 3 weeks.
I know, but I said to you.
You know, I've arrived as, in your eyes, the prince of all media. I would simply say to you, my show, as I've tried to explain to you, airs in 220 countries to 350 million people. You barely touch the sides of this kind of audience. So I've come here to say to you, Howard, hand over the throne.
Piers, listen to me.
I'm taking you down, old man.
CNN.
Just hand it over.
CNN reaches...
the new king in this city.
CNN reaches 350 million people.
It has
you
the
don't.
potential.
You're reaching 3 people. You lost the other hundreds of millions. But Piers, listen to me. I know you're having a good time, but take my advice.
Go on.
Don't look to compete with me. You don't compete with me. You just got to be
competing with you. It's funny.
Sean, you're competing with Sean Hannity on Fox.
Yeah.
If you beat him, then you'll come after me.
I agree with that. By the way, I totally agree with you.
And you're talking to a guy
competing with you is funny though.
No, but listen to me.
It's like now you just joined Twitter because you just couldn't resist trying to get into my action.
No, I feel like you are getting into my action. You tweeted about me all day. I didn't tweet about you at all.
I taunt you on Twitter all day, and the very next day you joined Twitter. I'm doing the maths here, Howard. But you're worried.
But listen to me.
You're worried about me.
Listen to me.
You're thinking, who is this little Brit upstart? I've got to kill him now.
The whole time
all your fans on Twitter today, literally on the way in, they were like, rip him a new one, Howard. Teach this little limey scumbag what real king of media's all about. Take him down, Howard. I'm like, come on, then, bring it all on. all of
Where's
you.
that? You should be on that show.
Now let me give you some advice, because I don't hate you. I don't feel a rivalry with you.
I love you,
like
Howard. I've always
liked you
loved
since
you.
you were a judge on America's Got Talent.
I know you said that.
I thought you're terrific on America's Got Talent. By the way, I forgot to mention, I do love Howie Mandel on America's Got Talent.
He is great.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's very annoying, but he's great.
I thought it was weird that, like, when I don't even know if they aired that part of the interview, because you did quite an interview with me. When I asked you about David Hasselhoff on America's Got Talent, you backed off and said you wouldn't talk to me about it. And I thought that was weird. Why? I mean,
well, no, because it's not my job to talk about why he left that show.
He was fired. It's generally known.
Well, I don't think it is generally known, actually. And I'm not quite sure what went on. What I do know is he managed to end up getting my seat on Britain's Got Talent.
But that's a come down. I mean, being on in America.
No, it's not good for me, though, is it? Imagine, I was thinking I was going to be replaced by someone like George Clooney, and in walks the Hoff. It's like that.
You were hoping.
Time to take a header off Beachy Head, as we say in England.
Are you feeling good about the new talk show? Or are you you're getting hammered about the ratings? Everyone's hyper focused on the ratings.
As they always say in those 007 films, not so fast, Mr. Bond, because very pleasingly, given the attention that you were drawing to the slight local difficulty we had with the Kardashian show,
yes,
ratings actually last week trebled on that figure. For most of the week, so we're actually feeling very good about the ratings.
The ratings went up when you started covering
Didn't just go up.
the Egyptian situation.
They went up 3 times. Yeah, the big news story came in, and
so you're
as people do.
So
well, no. I tell you what, I did I met Howard at the basketball with your lovely wife, who is absolutely lovely, and you're batting, as we say in England, way above your strength there. So congratulations.
Yes.
We're having this lovely conversation, which Howard turned the next day into this disgusting man's attempt to tell me how to do my job. Actually, all I said was, Howard, you were great for my rating. Actually, let's get back to this point.
Yeah.
Because you want to focus on ratings. Oprah Winfrey was my first show.
Yes.
Oprah got 2.1 million viewers.
Right.
You're my second guest. You got 1.2 million viewers.
Do you think I brought you down?
I'm just simply putting it out there.
Yeah, right.
Putting it out there that somebody was my second guest after the Queen of all media and lost me half my audience overnight.
Maybe it's
That's
all
when
my
the rot
fault.
set in. No,
that's what you
luckily, Condoleezza Rice was coming around the corner.
Yeah, and she really
and
saved
suddenly
her.
things began to perk up, but for a moment it was dodgy out there.
Listen, when it's my show, I count on me. Never mind that. And this is advice I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you some advice.
You actually helped me beat Sean Hannity in the demo, and that was very important.
I heard you beat Sean Hannity for the first time.
That was the first time we'd done it, I think, in about 3 years. So I do actually, Howard, I come to thank you. And I think we should work together. I was trying to say to you, come on my show. It'll be good for you. It'll be good for me. It's good for the world.
That's not how you said it.
It's two kings of all media.
First
it's like
of all,
this. It's good for ratings.
Piers
I bet your
says-
ratings go up today.
Piers was saying that I chased him all over the basketball game. Now, first of all, as you notice, I was in the front row. Piers was in the third row.
Yeah, but hang on. I was in the 10th row the week before.
Yes.
This is what I mean. It's
You're
like my
moving
ratings.
up.
It's
You're
getting better all
moving
the
up.
time. Yeah.
So that proves I'm a little more successful than you, a little bit more. But Piers, one of the things I said, so I walk out of the bathroom and I see Piers, and he's talking with my wife, and he says to me...
Which instantly had to worry.
You were very lovely. You said, hey, you were great for my ratings. I want you to come on once a month. And I said, oh, thank you, this and that. And you said, it'll be good for you. I can help you. And I was just like, well, I think I'm doing pretty well on my own. I don't
You can
need
never
that.
have enough help, Howard. Don't be too arrogant about this.
Yeah, but
I think of your foreign audience. I think you've making you big in places like, Kuala Lumpur.
Is it true,
and
Piers?
Paris and Belgium and places where you could walk down the street and no one knows who you are. I'm trying to help.
Do you think Larry King is watching what you're doing? And when the ratings, they were publicizing that the ratings were lower than Larry's after the Kardashians. Do you think Larry King is sitting there going, you see, maybe they'll bring me back?
Oh, it's funny. I got to the end of 2 weeks, so I'd had 5 new shows on air. And someone said to me, only 6,990 to go, and you've caught up with Larry King. So when people criticize Larry, I say, something? That guy did 7,000 shows in 25 years. And it is an exhausting, relentless, quite difficult job to do. You know what it's like doing these daily things. So I've got huge admiration for Larry. He's never said a bad word about me.
Right.
And I'll never say a bad word about him, because he was genuinely one of my idols when I grew up.
But the closest thing he's come to saying a bad thing, he said his number one choice to take over for him was Ryan Seacrest.
Well, that wasn't a good moment for me, I must admit.
Right. And then
I said to Larry, you've got to set the bar a bit higher than that, mate. Come on.
Is it true they offered your job on CNN to Katie Couric first? Was she the first choice?
I've no idea.
I read that somewhere, and I don't know if that's
all
true.
I read about Katie was she was under contract until the middle of this year, so I would think that's unlikely.
How do you think they found you for this job? I mean, whose brainstorm was
From
this?
what I heard, they just literally put an SOS out there and said, does anyone know who the new king of all media is?
And they found you.
People began writing in droves now. I think it was, I do this series called Life Stories in Britain, which is, it's an audience-based, quite lengthy interviews with big figures, and they got me the tapes in of Simon Cowell, the interview I did with him, where I made him cry, and they thought, wow, if this guy can make Simon Cowell cry.
Why did Simon Cowell cry when you interviewed him?
Because what I like to do is get into, as I did with you, funny enough, I thought the most interesting part of our interview was not anything to do with the bragging that went on between us and the joshing and all that kind of thing. The most fascinating bit to me was when I asked you about your father.
Right.
And it was the same with Simon. And I asked you about your father, and I could tell immediately, I knew from your story how much he meant to you. But I also suspected from what you'd said before that praise was quite rare with your dad, and that you maybe have spent most of your career trying to get some form of appreciation for you as what you do as an artist. And he finally said to you one day, he'd heard one of your shows, and he finally said to you, well, your film, I think it was, Private Parts. And he said, Howard, I think you're a genius. And I knew in that moment, I looked at you and I thought, that was probably one of the great moments of your life.
Yes, it was. And I was moved when I was telling you that story.
Yeah, and it was a great, and that to me is what interviewing is all about.
So you were interviewing the king of mean, Simon Cowell, and suddenly he broke down about his father?
Yeah, it was very poignant because not many people would have known this because I know Simon for so long. And, I was determined to try and show another side to him because there is another side to him. He's underneath all the exterior. I watched last night the Super Bowl, and there he is appearing as this cracked man rebuilt to conquer the world, and he's fantastic and that kind of thing. But underneath it is actually a very quite sensitive guy. He's very, he's incredibly hard-working. He gets quite paranoid about stuff, and he's got an emotional side to him, which people don't see very often. And there was a moment in his life when he had the best and worst of days, really. The morning started, he got his first #1 record with one of his artists. And his dad had been in the music business, so supportive of him all these years, and he rang to speak to his dad to tell him, I've got a #1, Dad.
Right.
And his mum wouldn't put the dad onto the phone and was a bit strange. And I know his mother, she's a lovely lady, and it turned out the reason she couldn't do that is that his father had died that day.
Oh,
so
wow.
before Simon could actually tell his dad this incredible moment in his life, he then had to be told this was the worst day of his life. And he'd lost his mentor, his man that he loved so much. And as he told the story, I could see him getting emotional. He was never going to break down. He's not that kind of guy. But I just realised in that moment that you saw raw emotion from Simon, which you would never normally see. And I don't think it's wrong to say he was pleased that he was seen that way, but I think he enjoyed talking about his father in a way that I thought with you the other day that you did. That it was these things mean more to people than other people would realise.
Was CNN aware of that tape, and that's what kind of did it for them?
They saw that one. They saw that one. They then called in 3 or 4 more tapes with the British Prime Minister at the time and a few other people, and they could see that.
But who finds these tapes? I mean, is it one executive?
We know the key thing for me in getting this job was YouTube. Because actually, the world's a small place on YouTube. If you want to check out Piers Morgan interviews, they're all there. You can just go and call them up. So a few of them began talking, and I went in for a meeting in April, and we had a great chat with them all. And then Larry wasn't leaving then, but clearly their whole prime time schedule was having ratings problems in America.
Yeah.
And CNN's a weird business because everyone talks about it as if it's some kind of failure because there's such a tension on the prime time ratings in America. But that's only about 10% of their business. CNN International remains a phenomenal news business, and their profits last week were huge. So it's kind of two worlds at CNN. But quite rightly, in America,
but don't you think they were in a panic over Fox News and all of that?
Totally. And I said to them when I came along, here, what my honest view? You're getting your asses kicked.
Yeah.
By Fox and by MSNBC. And I said, I don't mind having Fox do it, but Rachel Maddow? Seriously? You're going to let them just beat you to death like this?
But you see, those shows, and this is what I was trying to say to you, those shows are opinion shows. The topic changes every 5 minutes. I was concerned in the beginning. What I was trying to say to you is, don't have the Kardashians on for an hour. Okay, you can have me on, you can have Oprah on for an hour.
Howard,
sometimes you can get away with it.
I agree with you.
You do. So you're going to change it up.
We already have done. In fact, we're doing a big live show with an audience with Donald Trump on Wednesday. But the intention, by the way, was always to change it up. I mean, I think the mistake with the Kardashians was we did it on a night when Jersey Shore's on, American Idol's on, all the shows that their kind of audience probably are watching. We stick them on that night. It was just bad scheduling. But even actually, ABC, I don't mind experimenting with people like them because they're kind of cultural phenomena. I mean, when Kim Kardashian shortly passes President Obama in Twitter follow account, you and I as fellow twits are going to be going, how the hell did that happen? In itself, it's interesting. I think for a CNN audience, an hour was probably a bit long with them. And we got the ratings that decision probably warranted. But, you know, I've no problem saying to you when we go wrong.
But maybe even have all these girls on, you know, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, all of them on at once, and
I agree.
maybe do something like that.
I agree. And maybe do a show about Twitter, get the founder of Twitter on. Because Twitter, as you've already discovered, is fairly addictive. You know,
it's good.
You get into it.
Do you do your own Twittering?
I do
People
my own,
were
yeah.
accusing me of having somebody do it for me, and I said I would never do that.
No,
I
you have
wouldn't
to do
want-
your own. You
You do, right?
You have to, yeah.
And do you walk around all day with your Twitter? Do
Yes.
It's on your cell phone.
It's on my BlackBerry.
It's on your BlackBerry, and you're constantly Twittering.
Yeah.
And
I need your favour off you, Howard.
What is that?
You've come to help me. I've come to help you. I need you to tell.
No, I helped you.
No, I helped you, Howard.
All right, go ahead.
I need you to tell all your followers to follow me.
Sure, go ahead. So how do you do that?
I'm at Piers Morgan.
Your name is Piers Morgan.
Yeah, but
on
I
there?
need you to say he's officially forgiven. We're friends again.
I
Follow
never
him
had
at
a
Piers
problem
Morgan.
with you. That's why I thought it was funny that you were tweeting all weekend.
No, I heard some of your broadcasts last week. You were
What
being,
was it? Tell me what was wrong with
at
what I
best
said.
you were being disingenuous.
Not true.
No, it's true.
What did I say that offended you?
No, it was your interpretation of when we met at the basketball. Because my recollection of that was it was an extremely civilized meeting between two recently new best friends.
Yes.
And we sat there. I met your lovely wife, and we talked in such a wonderful way about your upbringing.
But then you said to me, Howard, I'm going to help you out.
Joking,
I said that was
Howard.
That wasn't a joke.
It was a joke.
You have such. Maybe it's a confidence, but it's an overconfidence. It's an arrogance.
Oh, coming from you.
No. You haven't.
You're accusing me of
But I've proven
overconfidence?
myself.
Howard Stern?
Piers, here's
Be
the difference.
serious.
Here's what I was trying to tell you. I have proven myself in America. I went from market to market. I did New York. I did Philly. I did L.A. Market
Howard,
to
you're
market.
on radio.
Yes.
I'm a TV star. It's different. There's more pressure. I
You're
have to
not
look
a
good
star.
too.
You're not a TV star
I am.
yet.
I'm better known than you.
You're not better than
I
me
am.
yet. You have to be number one.
No, in your country, you're quite well known. I'll give you
Radio
that.
is-
Outside of America, no one's ever heard of you.
But no one's heard of you either.
I air in 220 countries.
But Piers, stop it. Do
Seriously.
you really? Do you go
You
to
could
bed
be
at
in my
night
royal
thinking?
family.
Do you go to
Get
bed?
serious.
Do you go to bed thinking that that's true?
I'm right, aren't I? You keep nodding and laughing, saying,
you
Howard,
are
he's got a
known
point.
in more countries.
Thank you. It's official. Thank you. Therefore,
Howard
I'm more
doesn't-
famous.
Howard doesn't go to other countries.
Do I care?
There's a reason for that.
Do I care if you're number one in the Congo? I'm talking about the greatest market in the world, the United States of America.
I think I am number one in the Congo.
But you probably are. But to be number one in America, especially in radio, where it's 10 times more competitive
But
even
here's
than
the thing.
TV.
Here's the thing. Let's be serious, Howard, about this.
Yes.
When I was young, my mother is the greatest woman in my life. My mother said to me, she sent me a postcard once. I was about 18, and I was in a miserable job in insurance, but I desperately wanted to be a journalist. And she said to me, right, I'm going to do something to make you, live your dream. And she gave me this postcard, and there was a hippopotamus flying with a flock of seagulls. And on it, the headline was, "Ambition knows no bounds."
Right.
And that was it. I went, you know what, Mother? You're right. Get rid of this insurance. Let's get into journalism. I want to be a journalist. I want to be an editor of a national newspaper. Everyone said, you're crazy.
Did you go to college for that?
I went to journalist college, yeah.
You did?
Yeah, so I did my proper training. I did my hard yards in a local newspaper.
And look what it's led to. You can get a free meal in Tanzania. That's incredible. No, but you said...
Anyway.
So my point is, there's no point in me coming to a country like this.
Go back up for a second.
No,
for
I'm
this.
coming to the point about you.
Yeah.
Right, you are the self-appointed king of all media. You weren't elected that.
I always made a joke
I know,
of that.
but the point is you
gave yourself this title.
Yes.
You have no problem ideologically with awarding yourself a title king of all media. So I You
have
don't
no
listen to
problem
me. You
sharing your chilling self-confidence and saying, no, Howard, I want to be the king of all media.
No, but you have to prove it first. That's all I'm saying.
I'm
Don't
not doing
put
too badly.
Listen.
Seriously, I'm not.
No, you're having problems.
Britain's Got Talent, #1.
Right.
Right? America's Got Talent, #1.
Right.
Celebrity Apprentice took on 13 of your American friends, won it. Life Stories in Britain, #1.
You're doing well.
2 books, #1 bestsellers. And now I've come to steal your king of media crown.
CNN.
And I will not rest until I take you down.
Believe me, the crown.
But I want to stay your friend while it happens.
But the crown was a crown of shit.
I comfort you
the
when it all
crown
goes
was,
down.
I was making fun of Michael Jackson as the king
I
of
know
pop.
you were.
Okay.
I know you were. How seriously do you want to take this? Seriously?
Not at all. Go back for a second. CNN is paying you, I guess, between $6 and $8 million a year.
Can you inflate that slightly?
But that's what it's at now.
Just pump it up. It sounds better.
Larry King was making about $10 million.
Yeah, so a bit of work to do. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So when you negotiate a deal for $6 to $8 million, and you're on America's Got Talent. Does America's Got Talent pay you a lot of money? I happen to think you're the reason America's Got Talent is good.
Well, I hope NBC are listening to this because I could not agree with you more.
But do they kind of take the attitude that, hey, you're a judge, big deal,
listen,
leave it or take it?
I've got to say, I'm incredibly grateful to NBC because when I came to America, thanks to Simon Cowell, who offered me the job on that show, they'd never heard of me.
Right.
And they were just like you, skeptical. Who is this little toe rag from Britain? Why on earth are we giving him a time of space? And the show became a hit, and it's become this sort of weird, quirky, fun summer examination of all things America's talent. And I love doing it. And they pay me well. All these shows get paid well.
Is it like millions of dollars?
Well, look, you get paid very well.
You say very well, and I don't want an exact figure. Is it over $1 million?
I want to make it comparative. You know the answer to that question.
The answer is yes.
Let me compare it. My brother has just got back from a 7-month tour of Afghanistan. He's a British Army colonel.
Right.
He's done 2 tours of Iraq, fighting with American troops as well, but in all 3 places. He gets paid something like, I don't know, $80,000 a year. And for that, he in Afghanistan,
crazy,
7 days a week in Afghanistan, 15-hour days in 50-degree sandstorms, getting shot at, mortared, training Afghan troops. Huh?
How old is he, your brother?
He's 2 years younger than me,
and he is he's over there fighting right now.
Yeah, and he's got 4 daughters under 10. And so when everyone talks
do you agree
about,
with us? Do you agree with England being in Afghanistan?
Well, I was very opposed to the Iraq War. I couldn't see any sense in it at all. It seemed to me a sort of imperialistic dash for oil, and I thought that the trying to persuade people that somehow Saddam Hussein was involved with 9/11 was really ridiculous foreign policy. It was disingenuous. It was bordering on a downright lie to try and insinuate that. And I look at Iraq now, and the idea that somehow we believe we've created some free, democratic, safe society is preposterous.
Does your brother think Afghanistan is worth fighting?
He feels that it's more ideologically defensible than Iraq was
because of 9/11.
I think a lot of soldiers in Iraq, on both sides, when they got there and discovered that contrary to what their governments had been saying, there were no weapons of mass destruction. So the main reason for going to war with him simply didn't exist. Very dangerous territory for governments to treat their armed forces in that way. Very dangerous to say to them, this is why we're going to war. They go and risk their lives, and it turns out the reason isn't true. Afghanistan's a different thing. In Afghanistan, quite obviously, you could see that Al-Qaeda's training camps had been set up in Afghanistan and were being used in a safe environment for them where no one could see them to plot and to plan atrocities like 9/11. I totally get why we had to go into Afghanistan. The question becomes for America and Britain, how long do you stay in there?
Right.
What are we now achieving? And my brother's interesting about this because I said to him, what do you really think? He said, look, it's a very difficult situation because the Taliban retreat into the mountains, and if they think America's going to leave, they're going to wait, and then they'll come back in the moment they're gone. However, he
like
said,
roaches.
Yeah, the big problem is this, isn't it? I don't know what you must have done this many times in here, but the whole war on terror title was such a fatuous load of nonsense. You can't win a war on terror. Armed forces need to know how they get victory. It's part of their morale building. It's part of their raison d'etre. It's like if you're a soldier, you've got to know what's the mission, how do I win? That's why you're risking your life for your country and for the security and the freedom and the democratic philosophy you have. When you send troops into battle on a generic title of war on terror, which can never be won, there's always going to be terror somewhere, so you can't win it, they get confused. And right now, the mission in Afghanistan is not to beat the Taliban, because it's not going to happen. The mission should be, as my brother rightly says, it should be to contain and control and dismantle Al-Qaeda as a specific terrorist organization.
Well, I mean, not to get too serious, but the real...
Yeah, because we've just solved everything.
Well, no, General Petraeus' whole idea there, and he's a brilliant general.
He's a brilliant general.
What he's thinking of doing, and what he is doing, is he is taking all the local warlords and all of the thugs, organizing them to fight the Taliban.
Yep.
He's just paying them more money than the Taliban.
But actually,
but you know that'll lead to another Saddam Hussein.
Well, it could do. I think Petraeus is a genius. I think he's a military genius, and I think that Iraq could have very easily completely imploded. And I think the surge that he came up with, which bailed out George Bush really in terms of his policy there, was very successful. But you know,
but it's a big difference between Afghanistan and Iraq, right?
Listen,
well, in both places, if you're trying to create democracy, you have to change the culture.
Here's why in your wait a second. Why on your TV show?
Yeah.
Why don't you at least offer some opinions.
I'm
like
going
this.
to.
I find you interesting like this.
Yeah.
The idea that you're the interviewer who is removed and doesn't give his opinion.
Did you watch any of our Egypt shows this week?
I didn't see them,
Okay,
but
so
I heard
we
you.
went, we went
right.
live every day.
Because you were offering your opinion.
Yeah, but you see, I like all things. When you've edited a major national daily newspaper for 10 years in Britain like I did, you do all these things. We opposed the war in Iraq. We supported the war in Afghanistan. So we weren't a pacifist newspaper. And, we
But
also...
CNN doesn't want you giving your opinions,
No,
do
no,
they?
but actually that's wrong. What they don't want is me screaming from the right or left, kind of hysterical, partisan, Glenn Beck-style stuff.
Right.
Or even Keith Olbermann and Rachel Maddow, where it's clearly positioned in a way that you have to... Everything has to
But
suit
I
your
like
agenda.
that stuff,
But
and I
this is
think
an
you're
intelligent
you're an
conversation.
interesting guy.
Howard, I
as a
love
matter
this
of fact,
stuff.
when you Twitter, I
Yeah.
find it interesting. Yes, you're provoking people and you're trying to start a fight and all this
Yeah,
stuff, but that's fun. Why don't you do that on TV?
Because rather like you, when I hear your show, it's all things. It's horses for courses. Some days you wake up and you just want to have a great laugh with Robin and talk about sex and Jersey Shore and whatever it may be.
Right.
Another day you wake up like I did and you go, you know something? I'm absolutely bloody incensed about what is happening in Afghanistan right now. I'm the same. And so I like to do shows where last week, I think after 2 weeks of conventional interviews, where I was, I thought the choice of guests we had was great. I think some were hugely more successful than others. But
you want to do different things.
I'd like occasionally, the great thing about being at CNN, when there's breaking news, when there's a proper hard story, people will come and watch. They turn to CNN. And that's when I know that I'm at the right company for me, because CNN remains the most, as they say, the most trusted brand in news. And the reason for that is they are independent politically. Now, I said to them...
But I like entertainment.
No,
with
but
news.
you can be entertaining and opinionated. And I said, listen, I think the CNN's problem has been, as other networks have got increasingly loud and more opinionated, actually there's a really great positioning here for CNN if they get it right. Come down the middle, but be loud and be more opinionated. Have opinions, but just don't make it obvious that you're basically with Sarah Palin or
right.
with Obama, whatever it is.
Because that can get boring.
It gets boring and it gets predictable.
It's knee-jerk.
I don't have to turn on Rachel Maddow or Glenn Beck to know what they're going to be saying. I know when there's a news story which way they're both going to go.
But
I'd like to be surprising.
maybe we like their attitude. They're brash. They give their opinion.
Well, that's a different
I
question.
think you could do that.
If you ask me, do I like those shows? I do. I watch all of them. I think Bill O'Reilly's brilliant.
Right.
I met him for the first time at the Knicks, funny enough. Actually, quite a funny story. Can I tell it?
Yeah.
Because I never met Bill O'Reilly. So, he's gigantic.
By the way,
about as tall
he's
as
another
you.
maniac who came up to me and said, Howard, I want you on once a week and I'm going to help you
I know.
out.
He's another guy who's
He's
trying to
another
help
guy
you.
who's going to help
But
me.
I bet he
go,
did-
guys, I'm doing very well. Better than both of you put together.
But Howard,
Trust me.
I bet he didn't come in here and defend himself, right?
No, he's a big
so,
pussy.
So I've got the balls. I've
You've got
the
balls.
Jones.
You've got the balls.
And,
So you met Bill O'Reilly. He's
we
very
were lucky,
tall.
yeah. So we're at the Knicks, and it's quite funny. He's there with his daughter and one of her friends. She's quite young.
And by the way, isn't that funny? Because he's the guy who goes, I never go anywhere. I don't go to Nobu. He goes to Nobu.
Well, he
I
was
don't
in
go
the,
to
he was
the
in the
Knicking.
he was in the VIP lounge.
Of course.
You and your fancy friends.
Yeah, he's
Right.
exactly where I met you. So I go over and I say, Bill, it's lovely to meet you. I'm Piers Morgan, and he literally looked at me like, who are you? You know, I said, I'm taking over from Larry King, and he went, oh yeah, but he didn't really want to.
He
talk to
knew
me.
who you were.
Yeah, exactly. So it was all a bit of a game. So I walked off. Anyway, I then saw his daughter run over to him and whisper. And next thing, Bill has to come over to me, and he says, look, I don't know about if you could do this, but my daughter's a big fan of America's Got Talent. Could you possibly do a picture? I said, Bill, it would be my pleasure.
Right.
So it gets better. So I go over and I pose for a picture with his daughter. He's a lovely girl with her friend, and posing for pictures. Bill takes the picture. As the flash goes off, the commissaire, you know how officious they can be in there. I mean, it's a great place, the Madison Square Garden, but when you're in there, you have to behave properly.
Yes.
And the commissaire runs over, and he's got one of these lovely suits, and he's emblazoned with badges and things, and he says, excuse me, to Bill O'Reilly. Stops him, puts his hand over the camera and says, this is my favourite quote of the year, we must respect the privacy of our celebrities.
You must have loved that.
Oh, Bill said, I can't do pictures. He said, I'm sorry, sir. And he's trying to say, are you all right, Mr. Morgan? And what was great was he had no idea who Bill O'Reilly was. So Bill says, he didn't know who I was. I went, Bill, welcome to the king of all media.
Piers, clear something up for me. Your name, Morgan.
Yeah.
Is your stepfather's name.
It is, yeah. My father died when I was 1.
When you were, so you've never met your father?
Never met my father, no.
And
but I mean, I would qualify that by saying that my mother remarried when I was about 4 years old, and she was pregnant with my second brother, the army brother,
right.
When my natural father died, and that my dad, the only person I've ever known as my dad, came along at 4 years when we were 4.
What did your biological father do, and how did he die?
He was a dentist, and he died. He had a very unfortunate internal ulcer condition, which he developed as a young guy, and it killed him. These days, it wouldn't kill him.
How old was he?
He was 32.
Was there a big sort of emptiness in your life from not meeting him?
Well, no. I mean, when you're 1, you don't have any memory at all. What there is an unfailing curiosity, because I found an extraordinary thing out later. I went to the funeral of his sister, who was a lovely person in Ireland, who had all these cousins that I have now in Ireland, which has been great. But when she died, I went to the funeral in the middle of Ireland, in a place called Banagher in County Offaly. And it's right bang in the middle of Southern Ireland. And this guy came up to me, and he went, "Oh, Piers, I knew your father." And I'd never met anybody who, outside of family, who'd ever met my father or known him. And he said, he was a great man. He said, just like you, full of chat. Yeah, they had all the chat, all the opinions.
Isn't that funny?
All the opinions. And then other weird things, he then began to do. Now, my father was a big chess player, as I am, and
Right.
you are. He used to like doing the Telegraph newspaper crossword, which I then began to do just for randomly. But the most extraordinary thing was he'd been a dentist, a professional dentist, but this guy told me, you do realise he used to be a journalist? I said, no, I never knew that. And he had for 2 years been a trainee journalist on the local newspaper. And his mother had said, you've got to get a decent job, and made him become a dentist. Yeah, but so
I suspect he had the ulcer from trying to beat all the other dentists. He probably was competitive like
probably.
that. You seem to be on fire
working
with
on
that.
an ulcer now.
Yeah, it was just it was an amazing discovery to find out that I got it really, from my father.
And your stepfather adopted you?
He did,
and you
he's
felt loved by him.
Yeah, I found him. He is an extraordinary guy now. I mean, he to take on 2 young boys when he's in his mid-20s. Very
unusual.
He worked in nightclubs at the time, and he had to give all that up, and he restarted and started his own business. And he an extraordinary guy. I mean, as I say, the only dad I've ever known, and he's been a wonderful father to all of us. And we got a younger brother and sister came along.
Do you think your brother in the military is envious of the money you're making, and are you giving him money?
What he does, he makes sure that I lavish quite a lot of it in his direction when he's back on leave.
Is that true?
And I try to, yes.
You do? Well, what do you give him? What are these things?
I give him little trips here and there, and I throw big parties and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, I think listen. I think when you're lucky enough to be in my position, where for a large part of the last 5 years I've been paid ridiculous sums of money to judge piano-playing pigs. If you have another member of the family who is risking his life in the war zone, the least you can do is bum him a few meals.
What about the other 2 siblings? Do you?
Well, my
throw
younger
them
brother's
anything?
quite good. I just bought a pub. In fact, I was going to offer you a little peace treaty here. I bought a pub in London called the Handsome Cab in Kensington about 4 months ago, and my brother has been
You feel good
installed.
about that?
Love it.
Giving people alcohol? Do you have any
Yes.
moral issue with that?
No, absolutely not.
Do you think that drinking can lead to wrecking people's lives, and therefore
it
you're the
can,
guy
and
who's going to serve them all that alcohol?
It can, but it can also, in my experience, lead to enhancing people's lives.
That's right. You can get laid.
I lie awake at night dreaming of a pint of Harvey's Real Bitter, and it's sitting there in my pub waiting for me. I get back next weekend for a long weekend. I'm going to march straight to my pub and just guzzle the fastest pint of beer you've ever seen in your life, straight down my gullet, served by my brother. But if you're ever in London, any of you, right, free beer for life at the Handsome Cab.
Thank you.
Awarded to you and your team at this show.
Are you a serious chess player? I mean, are you very good?
Yeah.
You still keep
What's
up
your
with it?
ranking? Do you have one?
I'll play on the computer all the time.
What is your rating? Do you know?
I once no, but I've checked you out. I know that you're pretty serious,
Right.
and I know that you get into this whole.
By the way, I've
internet
quit chess. Do you know this?
Stop it.
I stopped 2 weeks ago, and I will not play.
Why is that?
Because I was obsessed. It was taking up my life.
I know why you've quit.
Why have I quit?
Because you heard I played.
I had no idea you played.
What
opening do you use?
I'm taunting you on Twitter. You join Twitter.
Let me.
I tell you,
I'm
going to
judge how serious you are.
You give up chess.
What opening do you play as white?
I like to play the Bobby Fischer opening from the 74-75 clash.
What is that?
If you don't know it, Hal, you're not a chess player. You're not a chess player.
Well, Bobby always opened up with E4.
Exactly.
Right. But what is the opening? What is the name of it?
Why don't we play? Let's put it over once and for all.
Are you a very good player?
I can play.
You can play.
I've played all my life.
Well, I started 3 years ago.
I know, so you're a beginner.
I am.
Yeah.
I am called a beginner.
Why don't we play?
Why are you so competitive with me?
Why? Because you're competitive.
Talk to me about your personal life for a second, because I'm not following.
Let me ask one more question.
Yeah.
If I beat you, Will you admit that I'm the king of all media?
No.
In chess?
First of all,
you're part of media.
What would chess have to? It's part of media. How about we arm wrestle right now and get it over with?
Are you
okay?
strong?
Let's do a 100-yard dash.
I'm pretty strong, actually.
What if we did a 6-mile run?
Do you want to do the arm wrestle?
I tell you what. Let's do an event.
Arm wrestle.
All right, let's
Here's
have an
event.
Olympics.
I tell you what, I've actually got big. I've got big arms at the moment.
Here's
Let's
what we're
have
going
a
to do.
I'll take you
decathlon
downstairs. Come on,
between you
Come on.
two.
We're going to let's wrestle right now. Whoever wins, whoever.
Can we wrestle with Robin?
Robin too. That's right. She wrestles with me. All right. Let me
You're
ask
going to
you.
get a king of all media sandwich,
more
Robin. You lucky girl.
More confusing than anything about you is your personal life. I can't figure it out. You were married at one point.
Yes.
You got a divorce.
I did.
Okay. Now you're remarried.
Correct.
When did you get remarried?
In the summer.
Okay.
So it's recent.
The new wife
Yes.
lives in England.
But she comes and goes all the time.
And I got to tell you something. Now, listen, I don't want to insinuate anything, but this publicist you run around with.
Oh, you said she was very
She's
pretty.
going to love you, Seamus.
Well, you better be careful.
Can you don't forget my PA? She's out there too, and she's equally hot.
Wait a second. You got to hear this scene. Piers, when I went to do his show, I show up.
Surrounded by women?
There's this very young, really attractive girl. And I'm like, wow, she's kind of hot. I don't know what she does. She goes, I'm Piers's publicist. I go, oh, okay, all right. Thank you and happy birthday. Very gracious.
Yes.
Then I show up at the Knick game. Who's Piers, sitting with, on a date? A full blown out fucking date. Oh, bullshit. And he's squiring her, and she is, I have a publicist. We don't walk around together, go to Knick games together. We don't go to dinner together.
Does your publicist look like mine does?
No, it's a guy.
Well, there you are.
Yeah, Dan
That's why you don't walk around with him.
Dan Clory. I mean,
you're forgetting that at the Knicks game, I was actually doing a half-time interview. I was there for publicity reasons.
Why is your wife in England? I don't understand. Why doesn't she move to America?
She likes England. She's English.
Wait a second. You just got married.
Yes.
You're working in California. You're doing America's Got Talent. You'll be doing CNN, and you're doing CNN in New York. And the wife, the new wife, is in England.
Yeah, but she's coming out, Howard.
Are you fucking your publicist?
No,
Answer.
no.
Are you in love with her?
No,
Have you
Howard,
ever
I'm in love
kissed
with
her?
my wife.
I don't fucking believe it. Why would you want
Howard,
your
if
new
you're in
wife?
love with my publicist, have a word with her. She's
I'm
out
not
the
in
back.
love with her.
And by the way, she loves you. This is going to be an easy
I
fix.
can't even tell you.
Seriously.
I can't even tell you how wrong it looks.
Megan,
when
if you're
running
out
around
there,
with her.
can you
Where is
come
she?
in?
Come in here. I am telling you.
Well, what is the deal? He took this job after he married.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. You got kids with her?
No.
She's single and she's living in England.
Yeah, but she's coming
Look
out,
at this
Howard.
publicist.
Oh, my goodness.
Modeling on me. Oh, my God. Give me a break.
Megan, meet Howard.
Megan, hi. Megan.
Hey, I think he's in love with it.
Well, I think you are. I'm not running around with her. You are every minute of the... I mean,
I do love her as my publicist.
Megan,
Yes.
how old are you?
I'm 29.
You're 29. You're extremely attractive. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
What? I can't hear you.
I don't.
You do not. And are you with Piers 90% of the day?
No, I'd say 60% of the day.
60% of the day. So when he goes to bed, essentially, you're not there.
No.
Are you attracted to him
60%.
physically?
Not really.
What?
No,
You better rephrase that, or you're my ex-publicist.
But you're not having sex with Piers.
no. We're not having sex.
You're not having sex.
She'd
Thank
probably
God.
like to. I
And
mean,
by the way,
why wouldn't she?
Let's be honest.
We're good friends, though.
You would have sex with me before you would Piers.
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah, there you go. Now you know the truth.
My life is dying in front of me here.
That's the point, Piers.
Do not admit that on air ever again.
One last
You're fired.
question.
Get out. Fired. Get out.
Right.
It's over.
How far have you guys gone sexually? First base?
So whatever happened,
No,
it's over.
It's nothing. Whatever's happened is
Fired.
over.
It just died.
Well, thank you.
I just lost my job.
Yes, Bobo, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, now, what's happening?
I'm so pissed at this Piers. I mean, it's so apparent he comes out as this outrageous host, and you're clearly not, man. I mean, you're trying to be in competition with Howard. You're not even in his league.
You want to know something?
There's a reason you're
honest
called
to
Bobo,
God,
isn't there?
Yeah. I, honest to God, do not feel that I am competing with Piers.
No, you don't even
honestly.
do the same things.
I don't feel this sense of competition that he feels with me. And I really enjoy him.
Yeah.
And so, what can I tell you? I like the guy.
I told you, Piers is like shadow boxing because you're not sparring with him.
I know. It's like he's punching himself in the head. Let's go to Maud. Maud, you're on the air.
Hi, Howard. I guess I'm just so sick of him. I feel like
He feels so entitled. He is so arrogant and pompous.
Can I tell you something? What I think, Maud?
What?
Oh, Maud, get over yourself. Calm down.
I think Piers is actually a bundle of insecurity. I think he's a sensitive guy. He wants to succeed in America very badly.
That's true.
And he doesn't need to try so hard. He doesn't need to...
No one ever died of hard work, Ab.
That's right.
Trust me.
I think that, Piers, I mean, when you're talking naturally, it sounds great. It's when this bullshit comes out of your mouth and you have to, all this bravado, it shrinks your dick in the mind of every woman.
Do you have a big penis?
We've discussed this on air.
I forget.
All I would say is it's bigger than yours.
And by the way, was I right about CNN? They cut out all our penis discussion.
But we got it online, don't worry.
There you go. All right. And by the way, that's not fair. When you do an interview, I say do it in real time. That's what I think.
Now, next time we'll do it live.
What about the criticism with Oprah that everyone was saying Piers treated her softball?
You were very deferential.
Oh, well, listen.
You were treating her like she was a queen.
You know something? You go in with someone like Oprah and you get too aggressive early on, she won't give you anything. I flattered, I teased her, I flirted with her, and as a result, I think I got out some remarkable stuff from Oprah Winfrey.
Let's go to Frosty. Frosty in Babylon. Go ahead, you're on with Piers Morgan. Watch Piers Morgan tonight, weekday nights at 9 o'clock on CNN.
Hey, Howard, this guy should have come in and licked your balls.
How do you know I haven't been?
Come on, lick my balls.
Oh, you don't know I haven't.
Yeah, how do you know Howard wants that?
Why are all my fans so angry with Piers? Because what, he tweets that he's the king of all
No,
media?
because you've been winding them up all week. That's why.
I mean,
that's why
come
I've come
on.
in here to defend myself heroically.
He's pompous and he has an English accent, so fuck him.
Don't you think that holds you back in a way? I mean, people do seem to be hostile to the fact that you got a job that Americans should have.
You know, Britain became an empire for a reason, you know?
Right.
We don't have to worry too much about people worrying about our accent. We're proud of our accent. But I love America. I love Americans. So all this anger that's being spewed my way is because your fans are getting genuinely nervous. There may be a new king of all media.
Jim, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Piers, have you started thinking about or planning your next job after CNN fires you in a few months?
What if CNN fires you? Will you be... I heard you have a no-cut contract. In other words, they got to pay you if they fire you.
Well, I don't really care about all that. I mean, I've been fired before, and it turned out to be the best thing ever happened to me.
When were you fired?
I was fired from the Daily Mirror.
Why was that? It was a scandal, right?
Well, yeah, what happened was we had pictures of... We were the anti-war paper for Iraq. We got offered some pictures by some soldiers of British troops abusing Iraqi civilians. And we kept them for 2 months. We made every check we could possibly check. And Abu Ghraib blew up in America with obviously much worse images. But we felt we then had this duty to reveal that some British troops had been doing the same thing. And... they turned out to be allegedly fake pictures.
I see.
As it turned out, I've never got to the bottom of it. I mean, no one's ever shown me the truth about these pictures. If anyone's listening,
So
then
you
they
were
know the truth.
accused of showing in the paper false pictures.
Yeah, although the incident was never denied. I mean, interestingly, the regiment we accused, ever since, they've had a series of court-martials because of the abuse that they had been found
So it's
guilty
not
of.
conclusive that the pictures were doctored?
No, it's not. And I never found out what it was.
Was your brother angry with you as a military man?
No, he thought, well, interestingly, his regiment replaced the regiment we were accusing, and he knew exactly what they'd been up to. So,
Why can't we torture these guys anyway? What is the big deal? I mean, quite frankly, I know what you're saying because they'll torture us, but they're going to torture us anyway.
It's a higher position you have to have on these
But what kind of torture did you find? What is it? Sometimes I see it's like torture is like showing them a picture of a naked woman.
No, it's
or
not that. It's
something.
when you get into the waterboarding and stuff like this.
Why is waterboarding
Because
so bad?
here's the deal, Hap.
Isn't that where they turn the sink on? You know, Nick DiPaolo said it's like when he goes for a shampoo and a haircut, they stick his head back and they put the water down.
Don't be ridiculous.
Come on. Why did we go to war with Saddam Hussein? Because he tortured his people.
Right.
Do you have any kind of moral higher ground if actually you end up going into his country and torturing his people too? You don't. You lose the moral ground. The great thing about the American military and the British military is they've always tried to fight wars in a morally defensible manner. They believe they're doing the right thing. The moment you stray below that and you start just meddling in the same kind of crap that you are eliminating...
I'm for a little torture.
No,
It's
you've got to be careful with torture.
He's being
I'm not talking about
ridiculous.
bamboo shoots.
Oh, stop
Nick
it.
DiPaolo spelled it out. Go listen to him.
Nick DiPaolo.
He's
Let
a
me
comedian.
waterboard Nick DiPaolo.
Howard, go ahead and waterboard Nick DiPaolo. I'm going to get him in here and I'm going to let you do that.
My marriage...
Did you see what they... Now they're forcing these guys to watch watch CNN. The Piers Morgan
Listen,
show.
I'll tell you what torture is for you, Howard. My daily existence in your city. That's torture.
Did you see Howard on Letterman the other night?
I did. He was absolutely hilarious.
Wasn't that a fun appearance?
I thought it was hysterical from start to finish.
And by the way, you brought up my name on Letterman as well, which I thought was very nice.
I gave you it again, just trying to help you, Howard.
But you said on Oprah he didn't use your name.
Yes. Now you went on. Oh, I got to ask you about. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
you
true.
got all upset. Your hurt feelings came through.
No, wait. Be honest. I really want to know the truth. You know, I give Oprah the business all the time.
Yeah.
And Oprah's no fan of mine. And I don't hate Oprah or anything, but I think it's fun to talk about her. Now, when you were on there, she said she left it wide open. She said to you, Piers, besides myself, what were some of your most fun interviews? Now, I know I was one of your most fun interviews. Why were you afraid? Did she tell you ahead of time?
Is there just the incy-weeniest bit of insecurity creeping in?
Okay, fine. I'm curious. Did Oprah tell you not to mention my name?
No, it was entirely down to me.
You swear to God?
I swear to God. I was entirely down to me. I simply wanted to torture you.
No, you didn't.
I knew you'd be watching,
why
waiting
didn't you?
desperately for me to give you a name check.
Were you afraid
I chose not to.
if you mentioned me that Oprah would suddenly be out of favor with you?
I didn't know you and her had a problem at all. So, no, I didn't.
So how could you say Ricky Gervais, no offense to Ricky, funny guy, how could you say he was more, I don't know, memorable than me? I mean, my interview was memorable.
Your interview was great. Ricky Gervais's was brilliantly newsy and topical because he'd just come off the Globes.
Really.
No,
Not
it wasn't.
really.
No, it was.
I don't know.
And he was British.
All right.
So
you're saying you left me out of there on your own. There was no Oprah.
Howard, you're sounding really insecure about
I
this.
want to know if Oprah put the kill
You wanted
on
my
that.
love on there, didn't you?
Bring in my waterboarding equipment. I'm going to waterboard you right
Get to
now.
the bottom of this.
Let's go to Julie. Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to know, Pierce, if you're so fantastic and brilliant and everything, how come you can't be imaginative enough to come up with your own title like the King of All Media?
That's a good question.
Because
So-
I kind of like deposing dictators, you know? So it's just quite fun to steal their title.
Piers, I'm going to make my point one last time. I have proven myself in America. You do have to prove yourself.
I agree with
wish you
that.
luck.
I agree with that.
And I will help you with it.
Thank you.
But you can't be the king of all media till I see you beat Sean Hannity.
Okay.
On a consistent basis.
So if I do beat Sean Hannity, do I then become the king of all media?
then you're the king of cable.
But you just said I'd become the king of all media. Make your mind up.
But then you've got to really, really do something spectacular, okay?
Well, Howard, let me say, thank you for having me on the show.
I
have thoroughly
you
enjoyed
here.
being here. I'll be here any time, and the open invitation to come back on mine always stands.
Thank you.
It
You
would
will
help
help
me,
him.
and
You
it will
will
help
me.
you.
I might go on there, but I'm just hoping. I'm going to wait a few years. I'm just hoping you're there. I'll show up, and I don't know. What is it, Pete? Go ahead. Let's say hi to Pete. A couple more people. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Piers, you're unbelievable. I think you're great. And Howard, it's good to have someone on the air that's got a brain in their head.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is true.
And that's my
what
point
I would
about
like
Piers.
to hear.
It must be-
Intelligent
yeah, well,
It
conversation.
must be quite rare on this show, right?
No, but Piers, this is what I like about you. This is why I'm a fan of yours. Even on America's Got Talent, you have a good opinion. There's no nonsense. You're not looking to make jokes. You do the job. Now with this new show, let a little bit of your personality
right,
come
Howard.
out.
I think
mean
you're
it.
right.
You're an interesting guy. You've got definite opinions. Let's hear them.
I think because you didn't watch me all last week, you missed my opinions on the big story.
I did because.
So I think actually I have listened to you, and you are somebody I hugely respect.
All right.
So I want to take your advice.
All right, and give me a prediction. When will you surpass Hannity in the rating?
I will be the king of all media within 3 years.
Within 3 years,
yeah,
you will take over this.
And I'll come back in here. You can put a crown on my head, get down on bended knee, and say, "All praise to the new king."
If you like General Zod, like
Exactly.
Superman, like Hillel, I will
Exactly.
get on my knee. If you don't beat Sean Hannity, will you have failed?
Well, eventually you've got to beat the number one. You've got to beat them. I'm not in this game to come second.
Good for you.
But by the way, at the moment we've been third a long time. And last week we beat Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. I think 4 nights out of 5.
Has anyone, executives from the CNN organization, come to you and said, "Piers, we're nervous because of the first 3 weeks, and we want"?
They've said they're nervous that I'm being a little too successful too quickly.
Come on, tell the truth.
That's the truth.
Has anyone from CNN come down and said to you, "Piers, here's what we want you to do"?
If you honestly got anyone from CNN on there said, "Are we nervous that we've doubled the ratings?"
No, but are you leaving them?
Wait.
Are they giving you autonomy?
Let me just clarify the ratings position.
Okay.
The ratings last week were double what they were in the previous 4 months before I joined. Fact, in the 9 p.m. slot. Double. Not just a little bit higher, double.
Some people are saying because it was the Egyptian crisis.
I'm not denying that, but I'm telling you, you want to obsess about ratings. I'll take double.
So no one from CNN has come to you and said, here's what we want you to do?
Absolutely not. We've been given incredible freedom.
All right.
But they did say to me, Howard Stern knows his stuff. Have a little chat with him.
Have you ever showered with your publicist, Meghan?
I haven't.
You have not.
But I think you'd like to, wouldn't you, Howard?
She's some good-looking girl.
It can be arranged.
Is that not a temptation beyond temptation? Seriously, you're away from your wife. When's the last time you had sex with your wife?
Howard, I don't discuss this kind of thing.
When's the last time you saw your wife?
I'm seeing her next week.
When's the last time you saw your wife?
I'm seeing her Thursday night.
When is the last time?
Do you want to do a live podcast on my marital bed?
Hey, when is the last time you saw your wife?
I last saw my wife 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So you have not had sex for 2
but
weeks.
bear in mind, for the last 5 years since I met her, I've done America's Got Talent.
Do you have an apartment here in Manhattan? Or
No, I stay at the Mandarin.
You stay at a hotel?
Yeah.
And beating off, what, 2-3 times a week? Honestly? What are you doing? Are you thinking about... Have you ever thought about Meghan when you beat off?
No, I think about you.
You've never thought about Meghan?
I think about you.
Do you watch porn?
No, I think about you.
Have you ever watched you porn?
The only thing that turns me on at night, Howard,
Do you
is the
have an
thought of
iPad?
beating you as king of all media.
Piers.
That's what turns me
Piers,
on.
do you
Howard,
ever...
I'm not talking to
do
you about my
masturbate?
sexual proclivities.
What was that?
Whatever.
Do you...
Sexual proclivities.
Do you... Seriously. You're a man, you're a grown man, you're alone in a hotel now.
Howard, I'm not going to go
and
there
you've
with
never
you.
fantasized about Meghan.
Howard,
your
I work for
publicist.
CNN. I'm not some grubby, serious presenter.
You've never fantasized about Meghan, your publicist?
No, I have not.
You don't see her as a temptation when your wife is away for so long?
I do not.
You do not. You're totally and thoroughly in love.
You never dip your pen in company ink, Howard.
And you're in love with your wife?
I am.
And you wait patiently for her to return?
I do.
And if the pressure builds up in your balls too much, what do you do?
I'll come and see you.
All right. So, did you ever cheat on your wife?
No.
Never?
No.
Not even the first one?
No.
Really?
No.
What?
I'm not getting into anything about my life with you, Howard.
Well, this is the guy who wants everybody to open up to him.
I'm a shameless hypocrite. Aren't we all, darling?
What are you up to?
Now we have to do an investigation.
What are you? I'm going to have to investigate you.
Come and investigate me, big boy.
Piers Morgan, I love you. Don't worry,
I
pal.
love you,
I
Al.
am not afraid to say it. I don't care. You can tweet all you want about me. You can be the king of all media. You can do whatever you want.
You said it!
Go ahead.
You just said it.
Go ahead. Go have fun.
Thank you.
And let me tell you something. You're on your way. You know, in one way, you remind me of Larry King. He's been married 8 times. You're already up to 2. You've got 6 more marriages to go.
goodness.
And then you'll be just like Larry. You'll be a complete raving lunatic. Watch Piers Morgan tonight. Weekday nights at 9 o'clock on CNN. Thanks so much, Piers. And we'll be back. Well, what is this? Oh, that's Piers'. That's your wife?
That's my wife.
Oh, Maron. Oh, now I get
you
it.
may understand, right?
Why is she in England? Oh, she's a doll. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, baby.
Now
what does she do for a
Now,
living?
do you understand why your question
What
seems so
does she do?
silly, Howard?
Yeah. What does she do?
She's a journalist.
That's a journalist?
Mm-hmm.
What is she, journalist? At the Playboy Mansion?
No, the Daily Telegraph in London.
No kidding. Bright woman.
Mm-hmm.
So what? She stays in
She
England?
speaks 3 languages. She can talk to you in Russian, Italian, and French.
Yeah, my wife speaks 3 languages. So
Well, there we are. We're
German and French.
We're both batting above our strength.
Look at you with this. Oh, yeah. What'd you meet her at work and then you had to get rid of the first wife?
No, Howard.
What happened?
No, there was no connection.
Were you working together when the romance happened?
I'd been separated for about 6 years when I met my second wife.
I see. Wow. What I do to her.
Did you hire
That's what
her?
worries me.
Did you hire her?
No, I didn't hire her. No.
Nice
So-
boobs. Are those natural?
Yes, they are.
No implants.
No implants.
Very nice.
He's really looking her over.
Isn't it true she started as your publicist?
You're not going to stop.
All right, Piers, thank you so much for coming in, and I wish you the best of luck with the show.
Thank
you know
you,
I
Howard.
do, and I've told you that, and I do
appreciate
consider
it.
you a friend. And let me tell you, what a wife. She should really come to America.
She's coming. Don't you worry.
No, she should come and forget the other job.
Well, we'll go out, Howard.
Yeah,
you,
all
you
right.
can meet my wife.
You'll tell me what's going on. When she's in town, I want to. You don't have to be there. I want to be there.
Right.
That was
Good seeing
fun.
you again.
That was great
A lot
fun.
of
I loved it. Thanks.
So glad you came in.
Thank you for coming in again. That
Lovely to
was
see you.
excellent.
We love when you're here.
Anytime, mate.
Lot of
That's
fun.
it.
Very
Take care.
See you. I'll talk to you on Twitter in a
Like I said, hey, wait a minute. Like I said, he went down.
Piers, is the feud finally over?
Yeah, but only because I took him down. So I came, I saw, I conquered, all over.
Now, despite, he calls you arrogant and all these things, there seems to be a lot of respect for Howard coming from your end. You seem to, really revere him.
Yeah, we are mutually respectful, but, I am competitive, and I'm not going to rest until I am appointed by Howard king of all media.
Now, you said this is going to be a friendly, while you take him down, you're going to be a friend to him. And why? Why is this? Why is there this respect
I
for
just
him?
believe when you take down a legend, you got to be kind to them on the way down. So as Howard topples, I'll put my arm around him and cuddle him.
You're very gentle.
I'm that kind of guy.
Now, all this talk, is your publicist going to be okay? Is Megan going to be okay with it?
She seems quite happy with Howard describing her as a
You're
babe.
right, Megan.
Listen, I would imagine her lifetime ambition was that Howard Stern announced on air that she's a hot babe. So, job done.
So, how long is this process going to take to become the new king of all media? I mean,
I think it's already happening, to be honest with you.
Well, when will the final conquer? When will you officially
It's not
take
going to
over?
be long. I mean, Howard towards the end stumbled and actually called me the king of all media. So, I think in his head, he's already moving to a position of surrender.
Best of luck to you, Piers.
This is a Howard TV original production.
Welcome to Celebrity Superfan Roundtable, hosted by Jim Probst and Natalie May, featuring Dan Patrick, Rob Thomas, Fred Armisen, Matthew Berry, Isaiah Mustafa, and Rose O'Donnell. All here to discuss the Howard Stern Show. And now, Celebrity Superfan Roundtable.
I'm Dan Patrick from, I have a lot of jobs. Big fan of the show, obviously being here. This is my first Superfan Roundtable. So I hope I don't get exposed with trivia questions, but look forward to it. Good group here, and I've been a fan for probably 25 years now. So hopefully I'll add something to this.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Rob Thomas. I'm here at the Sirius Studios, getting ready to do the Celebrity Superfan Roundtable because I am a superfan and a small celebrity, and so those two things go together. I've been a fan for about 18 years. I bought my car with Sirius just so that I could listen to Howard. When I came here and actually to Sirius and I played, one of the things I was the most excited about was getting ready to come back here, and I got to check out some of the studio, and I touched the chair. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I touched the chair, which is kind of like touching Howard's ass. So that happened.
Hi, I'm Fred Armisen from Saturday Night Live. I'm here for the Howard Stern Roundtable, and it's for the super fans, and I can't wait to do it. In my mind, I've done it a million times. I've been listening to the show forever.
How you doing? I'm Isaiah Mustafa. I'm the Old Spice guy, and I'm a super huge Stern fan. I'm here for the Celebrity Stern Superfan Roundtable. I'm a little nervous, so I brought my notes. I want to make sure everything goes over well. The last thing I want is to be on the show when you guys get back on air and get called out for not knowing something that I should have known. So I just want to make sure that I'm right. It's such an honor to be here. I'm happy to be here. Hopefully this will segue into a show appearance. You never know.
Hey guys, okay, so this is a dream come true. I'm actually getting to be on the Celebrity Superfan Roundtable. Matthew Berry here from ESPN. I'm our senior fantasy analyst. I get to talk about fantasy sports for a living, which is a dream job, but nothing a bigger dream than getting to talk about Howard Stern on the Superfan Roundtable. So I'm super psyched. Can't wait to meet everyone. Can't wait to do this, and hope I get asked back.
Hey, welcome to the 4th Howard Stern Celebrity Superfan Roundtable. This time we are in New York. Everybody is actually just arriving now. We have Dan Patrick, Fred Armisen from SNL, Matthew Berry from ESPN. Who else? Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. Natalie Maines is going to be here via Los Angeles. And I think that's it. It should be a fun time. It's a blast to do this show. And it always cracks me up when you look at the people who will show up here to do this, stand in front of all these Howard Stern banners to talk about a guy most of us have never met. It is a tribute to the genius of Howard Stern and how much we are fans of this show. We are super fans. Hope you enjoy it. I'm going to sit down. We're going to get started. I'll introduce our panel. Bunch of new people. Dan Patrick, say hello.
Hello.
Fred Armisen from SNL.
Hello, hi.
You're going to distinguish these voices all day. Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 is here.
Hello.
And someone I'm guessing that Robin is hot for, Isaiah, the Old Spice guy, is here.
Hello.
Along with Matthew Berry from ESPN.
Hello, hello.
So Natalie's going to jump in. We can see her on Skype. It feels
peace and love, peace and love.
And usually what Natalie and I like to do when we have some new people on the show, because the idea is we are celebrity super fans here talking about Stern. So just give me your rundown. Patrick, how long you been listening and what qualifies you as a super fan?
Well, Probst, just want to throw this out.
Let's see, Superfan. I think in 1986 I went out of 5 Penn Plaza across from the Garden, and I had a producer saying, you got to listen to this. And that was the first time I heard Howard. Howard was doing afternoons, and so I just started to follow the show, follow the characters, was in for Baba Booey's roast, and just, Richard and Sal, the prank phone calls, Beetlejuice, you name it, top to bottom. Robin, I've done a drive-by with Robin, and I like what I see. I've always appreciate Robin.
When do you listen? Do you listen at home? In your car?
Usually after my show is over, then I'll listen. I don't listen to any talk radio, certainly not in sports, but I listen because it's just different. I like Howard, how he interviews, but I think the genius has always been how he gets people that you wouldn't normally care for, be interested in, and you actually do care about those things. So I followed a long time, appreciate it, and relationship with Gary a long time, so he asked me to come in, and honored to be here.
Fred, when do you listen to Stern?
I like around 9 in the morning. I catch the news part of it, but I've been listening since I was in high school. I grew up on Long Island, so I've been listening a long time when Jackie the Joke Band was on, and I got Sirius Radio about a year ago, and I love it.
Does he influence you, or do you think there's been an influence on your comedy?
You know what? He influences me with opinions. So whenever I kind of can't make up my mind about what I feel about something, for some reason, just to hear him even say the words like "stupid" makes me think like that was a stupid thing that just happened. So like,
he totally changed my opinion on lactating prostitutes. I didn't even know that I had one, and then I was just like, oh yeah, okay, I love them.
Have you had any interaction with him from the band point of view or from your music career? Because he's pro musicians.
Yeah, no, he's actually said nice things about me. I've never done the show, but I've been listening for 18 years. I realized, I grew up in Central Florida, and if anybody's ever been there, you need entertainment as much as you can possibly get it. And so when he was syndicated and came there, that kind of changed. And now I think Natalie probably can understand this. Like, you spend so much time like playing music and writing music, and you're rehearsing and you're in the studio, and I get in my car and the last thing I want to do is listen to music. So I always go straight to Howard, and I'll turn on Howard. And now having it on Sirius and not having to wake up at 6 in the morning to listen to it, that's a bonus too.
Yeah, the replays have changed everything.
Great, yeah.
How about you, Isaiah?
I've been listening since '95. I was in college, and my buddy got me onto it. And I was disappointed that I wasn't listening before then because I missed out on so much. But now with the tapes, I can kind of go back and listen.
What do you notice when you hear old, something from 20 years ago?
Usually his voice, and I'm listening to his voice all the time. so just the inflection of his voice, how it's gotten a little deeper and more resonant as the years have gone on.
And does it strike you odd that we're all sitting here taking time away from our day to talk about Howard Stern?
Not at all. Actually, when he got divorced, it kind of helped me get my divorce. I thought, wow, he can do it. I guess I should probably go ahead and do that too. So I went ahead and it took me a little longer, but I worked it out.
So if Howard was still married to his first wife, would you still be married to yours?
I hope not. But anything could happen.
But Isaiah's dating Howard's first wife now. So.
Very awkward.
So how about you, Matthew?
Yeah, I've been listening since about '92. So I mean, I was telling Lisa G earlier that like if you go to the deep dark crevices of my closet, there's a VHS of Crucified by the there's a VHS actually of Butt Bongo Fiesta and a cassette tape of Crucified by the FCC. So I go. So
you are a legitimate super fan.
And I've listened for 20 years and huge fan and. I play in a fantasy league with JD and John Hine and Jason and everyone, and so I've had John and Gary on my podcast before. So huge fan, and I actually write about Howard a decent amount in my columns on ESPN, talking about how Howard's influenced my career. And huge fan. Certainly more super fan than celebrity, I would say.
Just to get us going, Natalie, we talked a lot on the last Superfan about whether or not Howard would be coming back, and if they came back, would it be in the same capacity? What's your take on the new contract, the new hours, and all of it?
Well, let's say, first of all, very excited and relieved that he is back. My life can continue for 5 more years as a happy, loving mother to my 2 children.
Because for anybody who's listening for the first time, you are maybe the most crazed, dedicated, borderline nuts super fan. You listen all day to the replays and everything.
This is what I'm learning. And I do want to ask Fred, I just want to clear up with Fred. So you're a super fan of the 9 o'clock hour with Robin's News? Is that
How
right?
about that? It's just that that's when I wake up. But I will say, though, I mean, I'm still as much a fan as I ever was. You know,
That's good. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, and also Amy Poehler from the show from Saturday Night Live is a huge fan too. So she always relays stories to me about stuff he's been talking about.
Awesome. Well, one complaint I have about the new schedule is, of course, 4 hours from 5, which is hard to get used to. But I also feel like we should get less commercials if we get less Howard. It's breaking in too much, especially in the news, Fred. You must be really bummed about that, all the live commercials Howard's doing during the news.
Well, I have a question. Dan, maybe you have insight into this. Was the idea behind something like Sirius the original idea with cable TV that you wouldn't have commercials, that you're paying for a service that's commercial free?
Well, I think that having been at ESPN for 18 years, I think we got the feeling that cable meant you were allowed to stretch the boundaries. So when satellite radio came along, I didn't think it meant commercial free as much as it meant management free, that you were able to express yourself. And that's why when Howard, after listening to him on K-Rock and then knowing he was coming here, part of me didn't want to hear him on satellite because I liked that there was still that element of I got to read into what it was. It's sort of like, you know, the difference between looking at a magazine that shows you, you know, women in lingerie or you see Penthouse. You know, Howard's now Penthouse, whereas before lingerie, I love that element of, God, I just wish I could. Now he gets to do those things. So there was a difference with that, and I think that was the difference with cable. We thought we could do a little bit more because we're on there as opposed to network.
Matthew, do you, as a longtime fan, do you like this? The news ends at a certain time, the show starts again at a certain time?
Well, listen, I'm with Natalie, right? More Howard is always great. But having said that, you know, I know that when we hear complaints at ESPN, they're like, why do you do this? And it's like, well, there's a lot of thought that went into this. And so I feel like, Natalie, for you to say, like, hey, you know, there's too much commercials there. Well, my guess is that what's happening to those commercials, obviously, is Gary's coming in, Jason, Will, they're coming in and they're saying, here, how about this? How about this? Have you thought about this? And to me, if there was no commercial breaks, is the show as good? You know, to me, it gives Howard a chance to sort of reset and refocus and bring up something that maybe he wasn't aware of. So, to me, actually, you know, I actually think
I'm all for that. It's the live commercials. Breaking into the news has gotten excessive. It's just messing with the flow.
See, I'd rather live commercials because it's him.
Those are the best.
But don't you like that you can always tell when Howard is looking at the clock when he says, anything else, Robin? Yeah. Anything else, Robin? Anything else, Robin?
Well, it's hilarious because he does it after the first news story.
And Robin never takes the cue, though. She continues on. I've got 8 more stories.
Right, exactly. He'll say the first one and then be like, anything else, Robin? Just like, the news started 5 minutes ago, Howard. It's hilarious.
Sorry, Rob, I had a question for you. You had mentioned that you've never been on the show. Would you not go on the show?
Oh, are you kidding me? I would be on the show every day. I would be like David Arquette. I would be on there spilling my guts out.
I already asked David if I could be his intern, so you'll have to get in line.
Hey, Rob, did you see the Grammys the other night?
Yeah.
And Train gave a Howard Stern shout out.
That was great. Yeah,
That's right.
So cool. You know, Pat is a man of his word, and he did it. I thought that was really, really cool.
But I remember when he played the song, and at the time, I don't know if Howard liked it, but when Pat played it, and that was the first time I heard it.
Yeah,
so it was
here.
interesting to see how it got to where it got, and that's to win a Grammy.
And one thing I want to get to, Dan, with you, because there's a big story swirling around you and Charlie Sheen.
Oh, that's what that is.
The setup, that you can tell the story, but the basic setup is that Sheen called in to your show to talk about baseball, I think, and ended up talking about his career. And I'm wondering, maybe set up the story, but I'm also wondering, that's vintage. That is Howard Stern-esque moment where you have to grab this and turn it into something.
You bring up Howard, but Gary was texting my producer, Paul, throughout the entire interview.
So what happened?
Well, I had Charlie on a couple of times, and he's a big baseball fan, and he said, look, next time I get to go a little bit longer, here's my number. So I left him alone with all the other stuff that was going on. Seemed like he had more on his plate than he needed to. So I said to Paul, text him and see if he wants to come on, because he had gone to UCLA to take batting practice with the UCLA Bruins. And he gave the great pep talk of don't do crack, drink chocolate milk. And I said, you know, that's one of the more inspirational speeches we've ever heard in sports history. So he picked up right away, and he said, I'm on Monday, and all the PR people said, don't do it. And then he said, F them, I'm coming on. And so he just got on, and he said, no topic is off limits. But I wanted to be fair to him because I was inviting him on to talk baseball. How I approached it would have been different than how Howard would have. But Howard would have gone after, tell me about the hookers at the plaza. How much do you spend on them? How long do they stay? Those kind of things. Where I had to sort of say, let's talk baseball, and he led me into some other.
Was that the interview that I was just hearing on TV where he says, don't do crack? And then he immediately follows it up with, unless you can adjust to it socially.
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was just like one of the most amazing things that, especially for somebody who I imagine right now is more self-aware than he's ever been in his entire life. But to say, don't do crack, kids. Well, unless you can manage it into your social life.
Wow. But that's one of those, if you read it, Rob, then it's different than when you hear him. I mean, he has a great delivery and there's a sense of humor. But the problem is people are going, you got Dr. Drew who's going to analyze this and say, does he really have a crack problem or what's his problem? And I think he was trying to be light with the mood.
Well, and the connection to this is that Stern has always been known as one of the best interviewers around. But it seems to me, and Natalie, see if you feel this way, but that since the new contract, toward the tail end with Arquette and then past that, he's been on fire with these interviews that are making headlines. Camille Grammer.
Casey Jordan.
He changed my whole opinion about Jerry Springer, listening to him talk to Jerry. And so when I hear your interview, I think, in some small way, there's a Stern influence in there about how to read a person. As you said, I went a different way because I'm on a sports show, so I can't go Howard's route. But there's some influence there about how an interview can go.
I've always, and I pride myself in interviewing, but the one thing that I've always noticed is Howard's a great listener. And he'll hear something that and if you use what he hears, and then he gets to his next topic. And it's something so small, it could be an intonation and inflection, and that's when he grabs it and then he goes. And that's all I tell people when they say, how do you interview? And I say, listen. Because if you listen, you might hear something, and that's what Howard does every single time. So it could be, with Kelsey Grammer's wife, or you could go down the list. Piers Morgan, he could hear something that makes him go, boom, and that's what I've always loved about it.
Okay, while we're on Piers Morgan, group response. Piers Morgan, thumbs up or thumbs down?
I think he
thumbs up. Number
like
one for coming on the show.
Yeah, I think he sounds like a kind of a douche though.
Totally.
Yeah,
and what do you mean by thumbs up? Thumbs
well,
down?
meaning not coming on the show, but his from having Howard on the show and trying to pick a fight or trying to say this is a battle of wits or whatever, and then coming on the show, his attitude to me feels so forced. Like, I'm going to press this. I'm the bad guy. I'm the badass interviewer, and it's not working for me at all.
It sounded like he was just going for sound bites. Like he just kept saying something so he could play it back, and you could hear him fighting with Howard.
See, and he probably wants to be a figure, too. So the more he does stuff like that, the more people can talk about it.
You think it'll work?
I think that it probably works for him.
I think you've got to be careful, and Howard saw right through it. Because Howard goes, look, we're not fighting here. I'm not, this belt's not up for your grabs right now. And he was sort of shadow boxing. As Robin said, he's shadow boxing, but he's not. You're not fighting anybody, dude. You got to work your way up to get here, and I think he's just trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah, and I think it kind of came across to me like the way that he was positioning himself against Howard and the kind of feud that he was trying to create there was kind of like when Sean Hannity goes after Jon Stewart. And says, well, this is what I'm doing. And he's like, well, and Howard's like, listen, the difference between us is I don't take myself seriously, and you do. And that's why you seem kind of douchey.
See, I actually enjoyed the whole thing because I thought that Piers came across as, I agree with you, Rob. It didn't come across well.
I think it was a great interview because he was a douche.
Right, because, but he didn't come in and he didn't pay deference to Howard, and Howard was like, dude, who are you kidding? But what I did find it enjoyable, and we're talking about Piers. I think Piers got out of that appearance what he wanted, and I sort of think that, at least for me, I think the audience takes their cues from Howard, and I think that Howard was sort of like, as opposed to getting really angry, it was almost like a bumblebee, like just swatting away a fly. It's just like, who are you kidding, Piers? I mean, you're nothing. But the fact that Howard sort of did it with a smile, I think that was
he was
the
gentle.
Yes, very very gentle.
That deflection was genius too, where it was like, the king of all media. So are you fucking your publicist?
Yeah. What's the feeling when you're in your car or you're at home, Isaiah, and you're listening to Stern and you hear someone like, Camille Grammer or David Arquette start to talk and you sense, whatever I had scheduled, I've got to stop because this is gold.
Yeah, how many times have you sat in the parking lot of the building you're about to walk into? You're like, okay, I'm just going to sit here for a little bit longer. I just got to wait.
Well, not anymore with the new app. So
no, listen,
yeah, you could rewind.
The Artie punching Teddy moment. I was in the parking lot for an hour. Yeah. I was like an hour late for I couldn't, like a million times, right?
Also with Arquette, I think that you were hearing actually Howard provide a service because I think David needed to talk to somebody. Now, would he have taken it back that it was going to be public and he was going to hurt Courtney Cox's feelings? But he, at the time, needed an outlet. So I didn't view it as Howard taking advantage of David. I really think David needed somebody to talk to, and
agree.
Howard approached it that way, where he was just saying.
Yeah, and anybody who knows David knows that David is one of the most open, honest people on the face of the earth, and he'll just let his heart just pour out of his mouth.
So where is that line when you're Howard and you've got this job to provide a show to your fans, and this is a friend self-destructing? What would you do, Dan? Is there a place you would stop that and go to break?
Well,
or
I'll
never?
go back to Charlie Sheen. I wasn't there to provide guidance. I wasn't there to go, boy, Charlie, clean up your act. That's not my role.
But Charlie's not a friend of yours, though.
Well, but he's an acquaintance where David, I think, he considers Howard a friend. I think sometimes it puts you in a tougher position because it's a friend, and you're not quite sure if you're supposed to say, you know what, let's talk about this off the air. I don't know if you said to Howard, if you did it again, would you have made it as much public as you did? He might pull back a little bit, but he also knows he's making great radio. This is what people tune in for. He's providing a service, but he's also providing a service to David. So he had a myriad of things that I think were on his plate that day. And the only thing I thought was maybe he let David go too deep. And if he had a chance, he might back up a little bit there.
You know, it's interesting. I think the question would be, how much did he know from Courtney's side? Because listening to that the first time, he was hearing a lot of stuff for the first time, and maybe he knows, oh, this is okay, and, the stuff that was coming out about them being separated and everything like that. So, I mean, if he knew some stuff from Courtney's side, he's like, whoa, you don't want to go there. But I felt like he was actually fairly gentle during that interview, and, I mean, having a conversation with a friend, that was what was so brilliant about that, and, you heard David's heart breaking.
But sometimes you want to interrupt that. You want to almost say to that person, you know what, hey, relax a little bit here, because he was very emotional early in the morning, and you got the feeling he hadn't been to bed.
But I always feel like, I mean, Howard, and this is the genius of Howard, right? Howard will always, with the devil and the angel on both sides, he'll always go with the devil. I kind of, you're going to think this is weird, but I go back to the Gary sleeping tape, right? Because it's the guys came to him and he knew this would really embarrass one of his closest workers and friends, but it's great tape and great radio. And so I sort of feel like it's one of those things that's like, do I embarrass Gary or do I got to give me the tape? And there was a week-long thing out of that. But I felt like it was a similar thing,
Natalie, you and I had just done a Celebrity Superfan with Arquette a few days before that interview. What were you thinking when you heard it begin?
I was just feeling for him, and I felt how raw and honest he was being. And I don't think Howard could have stopped him because David definitely had things on his mind that he wanted to set straight or make clear, and he was purging in a sense. And then he didn't regret that, I don't think, because he called back 2 more times and came in another time. I just love David's openness and his honesty, and he was vulnerable and might have some regrets about some of the things that he said, but I also think Courtney Cox knows David and knows who she married and knows how to take that. Everyone had a lot of opinions.
No matter what, friend or no friend, when you kind of walk into that room, the one thing for certain is that it's not Howard's job to say stop speaking, ever. Do you know? I mean, that's the whole idea. There's this thing of consciousness.
It's almost like you're going to therapy.
Yeah,
you kind of know you're walking in.
That's what I see it as. You go in there and you know that you can be completely honest with him one-on-one.
Just ask George Takei.
And that's refreshing.
Isaiah, when you hear the interview going on using either Grammar or any of these people, are you a fan just listening to the content, or is there a part of you also listening? I find myself, anyway, listening to how Howard conducts an interview, when he calms down, when he slows and lets somebody go, and when he, as you will say, Dan, is when he'll listen to something that has nothing to do with where he wants to go, but segue into it almost like they brought it up themselves.
Howard always says things about "Daddy love me," and I'm one of those guys. Like, so when I hear him talk and listen to the way he interviews people, I take that and say, like, how can I incorporate that into my life? So I'm listening to how he's explaining to people and getting these stories that maybe someone has held for so long, and finally they're opening up. And I use this same technique when I speak to women. I listen very intently to see what they're going to say.
While we're on the topic of women, you and Robin, would there ever be a connection there?
I see Jason nodding his head. I like older women, so there's always a possibility.
What's the age difference?
I'm not sure. I'm 37, so I'm always open.
So if she were listening to this, and you're in town, you'd be up for going to get a veggie, whatever.
Oh yeah, at Pure Food and Wine.
And if something sexual happened, could Howard TV film it?
I just put the OJ mask over my head, and I'll do it.
Did anybody hear the other day when someone called in and said Howard's become pussified, I think, or wussified because of Beth?
Oh, I heard that. I was waiting for him to just tee off. I was like, ooh, that is not the person to talk about.
Has he? I know we have people who've listened. Old school and new school. Have you guys noticed a change in Howard over the years?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what is the change? When did you notice it?
Well, one of the things that I kind of noticed is that as he gets older, he lets like his cavalcade of freaks kind of do the freaking for him. You know what I mean? Like he's surrounded himself with so many interesting people that are so interesting in so many different ways that it doesn't have to be him spanking the hooker anymore. He can bring in High Pitch Eric to do it, and that's just as funny, if not funnier. And he can kind of, just control everything like the puppet master, as opposed to getting his hands dirty.
Yeah, I think it's getting older. I think it's his daughter's getting older.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's the therapy. You go 4 days a week for whatever 15 years. Eventually something sinks in, and I think so. I'm with you. I think in the old days, whatever, Howard was the crazy one, and now it's like you're not going to out crazy Sal and Richard. So why try? Like bring them in. Like you mention their names and they're in there naked.
And
like
his role is he is one of the greatest interviewers of all time,
Yes.
and I think that's where his strengths really focus on. And it's not a dog and pony show when he's doing what he does best.
Fred, have you noticed a difference?
A little bit. I was going to say that I feel like Robin is exactly the same, though. When I listen to all the old tapes, she seems like she hasn't aged at all. She's exactly the same person.
But I think she's more revealing.
Oh, she might be.
I got that feeling that she was a little bit more forthcoming, and I think she realized that she needed to be because Howard wasn't, and then you throw in the sideshow, as Rob said. But I think that's understanding that those guys, if Sal, wants to take his dick out and say, all right, here, Richard.
Sing into it.
Yeah, whatever it might be, then Howard can step back and appreciate that.
So stepping away from Howard for a minute, has Robin's role changed over the years in what she provides?
I don't think so. No.
Yes, I do.
You think so?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Definitely, especially when you hear back to some of the old stuff when they're playing it. She used to try to get herself in a little more, try to be on an equal playing field, I feel like, with Howard. Now I feel like she's really found her place in the show and is really just there to be fresh ears for him. And I love that she's really supportive of him, and she's a lot less defensive than she used to be, and can just sort of laugh at herself a little more, although the narcissism
but
scale and testing goes against everything I'm saying here. But I do feel like she is just a perfect counterpart to him.
But Natalie, I think actually in the older days she would probably get a little bit more mad at like the Fred music, the whatever, or the songs that like Psych and Little Mikey do. Right? Yeah, exactly. And just the
Definitely.
I love the drops that Fred always play. I have big pendulous breasts, and
yeah, she has a better ability to laugh at herself now.
And I also
I
think Howard's relying on her a little bit more now that Artie's not on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a bigger piece of it too that we're not really talking about.
I agree.
Do you guys miss Artie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certain times.
I heard prank phone calls, what was it, yesterday? And you hear Artie's voice and you immediately go, God.
Well, it's hard not to miss Artie because he was such an integral part of the show, and his voice is so nobody has that take on things. Yeah. But I got to say, being completely honest, I wouldn't say I miss him. I loved when he was on.
Yeah.
But I don't think the show is missing it. Howard has changed yet again, and the show's evolved into a new thing.
Yeah, it would just be nice if every now and then you could revisit that perfect. You know?
Well, I'm
he
just
was so
amazed.
perfect for the show.
It's like when Adam Carolla was in. You know, like it's so nice to have that kind of personality
But you know
sitting in.
what? You know what? I've kind of analyzed this in my mind, believe it or not.
I do. I believe it. Yeah.
What is it about Artie that made him really fit in as a character and a permanent on the show, as opposed to Adam Carolla or one of these other comedians? And to me, it's that Artie was a storyteller and was revealing about himself, and it wasn't about being jokey. He wasn't about like saying something witty. You know, it was just part of the dialogue, and he fit in like that. And I think a lot of comedians, no offense to any, just sort of get caught up in their jokes and their writing of jokes and being clever that way.
I don't think Artie had to be set up. That's the key. And a lot of comedians have to be set up, I think, is what Natalie's saying. And Artie just jumped in and blended in and said, I'll take it from here.
But it seemed like he was a child of the show, too. Like he'd been listening for such a long time.
He's a super fan.
Absolutely.
Well, now that Howard has resigned, though, I think we're all sort of expecting when's Artie going to come in and at least, do a day and sort of go through everything. I mean, right? I mean, I feel like that has to happen.
It's funny because we were talking about Arquette earlier, and Dan was saying, we were talking about the line you draw. I feel like Howard is really gentle with Artie.
Oh,
and
of course.
That's not going to happen unless Artie really wants to and it feels comfortable and it's never going to be exploitive or for a moment.
Yeah.
Does that seem...
He's not sweaty. Artie was never sweaty about anything.
But I don't know. It just
what?
Like desperate. Artie was never like I don't think like Natalie was
sweaty,
saying,
like
sweaty,
working for it.
like just trying to get a laugh out of everything. He wasn't like I'm a comedian.
Do you think the show needs that role? Like Jim Brewer's on.
Brewer's great.
Yeah, Brewer's great on it.
But does it need that?
I don't think it needs it.
But for the time, it was great. I didn't say that I necessarily missed Artie, but it's just that I was just thinking about him, and he was so great for the show.
There's so many things that go on in the show too.
Yeah. But it's okay for shows to have different times for things.
Well,
it's
your
okay
show, Saturday Night Live, is a great example of that.
That moves on, and it's still those things are still.
I
great
don't miss
shows.
Jackie.
No,
I don't miss Jackie.
No,
I didn't miss him when he was on.
I have to.
I
will say this,
the one
though.
good thing about Jackie is that it was hysterical when they would make fun of him.
Yeah,
I was just going to say the one I don't miss Jackie. I miss Jackie Puppet.
Yeah, the Jackie Puppet.
I miss the Jackie Puppet.
All the shit that Jackie got, that's what I miss.
Yes, I mean just busting on Jackie is hilarious.
Well, the thing about Jackie, for me anyway, was just as you said it, Fred, the sweating, the forcing of everything.
Yeah.
I wrote that. I did that. I'm the funny one. We all know, we're fans. We know that it's a team effort. Nobody believes it's only Howard doing this show.
Right.
But when you keep calling out for it, I think
with the contracts and stuff at the end of that, it was just unpleasant.
I miss the topic of him. I don't miss him, but I just miss the topic because when it comes up, then it's everybody, ollie ollie income free, and I love that. It's a big game of Twister with Fred on the bottom, piling on him with sound effects and whatnot. So I do miss that.
I like his laugh. I'm glad they have the soundbite because his laugh was always like so genuine when something would happen. Though that howl in the background was classic.
And you know what I saw in a store yesterday? In stores is Joke Master Jr. Joke Master. I was like, oh my God.
What store did you see that in?
In Oz. Did you go to Oz here in LA? Yeah, right. I couldn't believe it was in the store.
Hey, before we get back to Howard and how he might have changed over the years,
I have
Fred,
one story really quick about how Howard changed. I just thought about.
Okay, hold that thought. Just to get back to something, Fred, one of the unsung heroes. We never talk about Fred enough on this show. How big a part is it of the show for Rob is Fred for you when you're listening to how fast he's reacting?
Oh, I feel like he's the captain driving the boat. Like he's driving it where it needs to go. Like you kind of feel safe that he's at the helm of everything. And I think that he's definitely one of those people. There's three people for me that the show would completely fall apart. Like I was talking with Fred about this. Like the idea that icons. Johnny Carson was an icon. Larry King was an icon. But when they moved on, somebody else could get into that chair, and then the show would continue on. This is a show that without Robin, without Howard, and without Fred, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a show.
How many days have they had a show without Fred?
Did they say one time?
I know he was late one time.
Like twice?
But I think what he does is he adds the element that you see in The Simpsons. The Simpsons are funny on a variety of levels, and Fred always gives you something else. It can be, low, it can be middle, it can be really highbrow. Fred always gives you that element that makes you laugh even though something that Howard might be saying or somebody else is saying, and that's the brilliance of Fred.
Yeah, the caw-caw.
Just a little.
Yeah, it's easy to take for granted too. I take it for granted after a while. It's always there, and you rely on it.
I expect it.
What's amazing is like Howard will reference something really, really obscure, and then literally 15 seconds later, Fred's got that clip or that drop or that parody song or something like that. And if it was up to me, they'd play the Little Lupe drops every single day.
I find myself listening the first time I hear a show as an audience, and then the second time I tend to go back and dissect it more. And I'll take times where I'll just listen to sound effects. And it is amazing how many things he drops within a show.
How is he that fast?
I don't know.
He just gets it so fast.
And
I
does
don't
he
understand
have
it.
total control, or does Howard also have control over that?
It
the
seems
sound?
like Howard can turn it up or down for sure.
Yes, come on,
Gary.
Let's get the official answer.
Fred can play whatever he wants, but Howard has an overriding master volume control.
That's why Robin's music gets so loud sometimes.
I love that.
All right. Oh, Rosie's on. All right. Rosie O'Donnell is joining us now. Weren't sure if we were going to get her or not. Rosie, let me introduce you to everybody here so you know who you're talking to.
All right.
All right. We have Dan Patrick. Rob.
Hi, Dan Patrick.
Hi, Rosie.
I feel like suddenly we're on the dating show.
Well, it's almost like third grade, the teacher taking attendance.
Rob Thomas is here from Matchbox 20. Fred Armisen.
I love him.
From SNL, Fred Armisen is here.
Fred.
Mr. Old Spice guy, Isaiah Mustafa is here, and Matthew Berry from ESPN. And Natalie Maines is also with us. She's in Los Angeles listening in. How are you, Rosie?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you all doing?
Very good.
Hi, Rosie.
Hi.
We're just
honey.
all.
How's it going?
I'm good. I wanted to let you know I'm a big fan of your show. I listen quite often, and we have much in common.
Well, I always knew that about you. It's never a surprise with you.
Rosie, what is the common ground between you and Howard?
Well, for a long time, I was sort of public enemy number one on his hit list, me and Kathy Lee, and he hated me with a vengeance. And at the time, I had never heard of Sirius Radio. I never even listened to talk radio, truthfully. But I would take my little boy, who's now 15, to the mall in a stroller, and all these teenage boys with black T-shirts would scream, "Baba Booey, it's that pumpkin head!" And I was like, "Holy shit!" I don't know who he is, but he's got like a mass of teenage boys willing to do whatever he wants.
Rosie, what's that like to go through, to be insulted like that, and you're not even really connected to what's happening?
It was pretty intense, I got to tell you, and it really came to a fever pitch at one point when my son was about 4 years old, and he was telling his listeners, about on and on about how he hated me, and some crazy man was on the way to my son's school to pick him up and called into the radio show and said he was going to take my son and save him from being raised by me because of, Howard's stuff. And so my son has walked into the TV studio with police. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? They're like, we caught some guy on the way to the school to pick up your kid. That's when I was like, holy shit. And I actually called Mia Farrow, who I knew was a friend of his, and said, Mia, listen, this is kind of crossing the line here, and I don't know the guy, and I never met the guy. And so she called him, and then we got on a phone call together, and he's like, listen, you say a lot of shit about me. I'm like, no, actually, only mention your name once on a talk thing, and about what did I think about shock jocks, and it wasn't you specifically. I didn't even say your name. I said, but, I'm afraid of you. You're the kind of guy that scared me in high school. You're the kind of kid who smoked pot with a black T-shirt by the gym, and I was the student council president. And I just want you to leave me alone and my kid alone, and you scare me. And from that moment on, he sort of turned the corner. I don't know.
Well, the interesting thing is that you guys are not that dissimilar. You both have big opinions. You're not afraid to say what's on your mind. You're not afraid of a fight. It seems inevitable that the two of you would ultimately become, comrades or partners in some sense.
Well, Fran Drescher, who's been on his show a long time and knows him, said to me, why are you afraid of him? He's a Jewish kid from Long Island. He's just like us. He's grew up where we did. He's, you have no reason to be afraid of him. And I was like, I felt like there was sort of a dark energy about him, or his fans. There was some sort of, mind you, if you're the target of his kind of power, that's a pretty intense amount of rage to absorb, right? And for just being you. And so I never really started to listen to him. And then after we kind of made peace, I heard what he was saying when he went over to Sirius about the FCC, and I heard him talking about, the loss of civil liberties after 9/11, and I was really kind of proud because nobody was saying it. and I dropped him a note that said, keep doing it, because no one else is doing it, and Natalie as well, when they were brave enough to stand up when everybody else was looking the other way. I also dropped a note there and said, rock on, sister friend, because
yes, you did.
You know, that's all we have in this country. This is America. This is what we're not supposed to shut up. We're supposed to participate.
Well, you know,
democracy demands that.
I don't know if it's an influence of you or not, and I want to ask this panel to get on this. I've noticed Howard changing his views and expressing them about gays and lesbians. I mean, he used to be hardcore, and he would say things that he would probably regret today. And I think just last week, he did a whole thing about it. It's okay if you are. It doesn't matter. Very pro-choice, I guess, in that.
That was a great rant.
Have you noticed that, Dan?
Yeah, I think that, and I've always got the feeling. What I loved about Howard is he championed that. He's saying, this is what I feel, and you could tell that he felt strongly about it. But that's what I always wanted is, if he says it, I want to hear it, I want to believe it, and he doesn't cheat you with that. So when he said that, or if it's Prop 8, whatever it is, that he grabs it and holds on to it for dear life, and I've always respected that with him.
Yeah, you listen to some of the best ofs or the history of Howard's, and you hear some of the homosexual humor, and you cringe a little bit, and you wouldn't expect that. I mean, he was always very pro-lesbian in his career, but
lesbians always
from moment one, he's always been a friend of the lesbians, but he does.
Well, not the real lesbians, the Playboy lesbians.
The lipstick lesbians, yes.
The 200-pound lesbians with a backpack,
He was all about the weekend warriors.
Right.
Yeah. Rosie, 2 questions before we let you go. Where do you rank Howard as an interviewer?
Number 1.
Really?
Without
what makes
hesitation.
him number 1? What makes him number 1?
Well, because there is no pretense, and he does not hold any punches, and he'll ask you exactly what he's feeling. And also, I think as an interview subject, he nicely came into the studio once when I was there after everything happened with Artie, and, I just asked him, and he answered. And I think that he treats interviews with the same way he responds to interviews. And when you saw him, like the other day, I don't know if you saw him on Letterman, but that was like a masterful performance. He came out, oh my God, he had command of the entire room. It was like a king and a pawn. And there was Dave, a little bit embarrassed, a little bit, oh my God, what is he going to do? Is he going to bring up the thing that I had upstairs? Is he not going to bring it up? How's this going to go? And he did it without really being mean, with being funny and part of it, and I don't know, it was a brilliant performance. It was like watching Brishnikov dance.
You almost got the feeling that Howard was interviewing. It was Howard's show, and Letterman was a guest, and he was tentative about what Howard was going to ask him.
I think that happens with every show that Howard does.
It's what Rob Thomas said. He deflects, and by deflecting, he begins to interview again.
Right. That's what I was curious about, Rosie, as someone who's interviewed Howard. Is it possible to get, frankly, a, quote, real interview out of Howard? Because he's such a big personality. Like, I thought Piers tried a little bit on his Piers Morgan appearance, but, I mean, Howard mostly took that interview over as well. And it's sort of like his agenda.
I thought Piers totally dropped the ball, that Howard was giving him some stuff and opening the door, and he never followed through. I don't think Piers was listening. I don't think he was really playing ping pong with him. I think he was trying to show everybody, look at how I can, go a couple rounds with him when he didn't even. And then Howard, I think he missed a huge opportunity, Piers Morgan. And Howard, I think, showed, just how good he could be, but with the editing. And Piers Morgan, unless you're going to go live, that show's dull. You got to have it live. There's a palatable energy that you can feel when you don't know what's going to be said next.
But you can't have questions. You can't have questions and run down your questions with Howard. I think that's where you listen. And he had 2 moments where he could have grabbed and taken Howard into a place I thought that Howard would have been a little more revealing, but it seemed like he was just going.
What were the 2 moments? Do you remember?
It was going to reveal something personal.
He talked about his dad at one point.
I really thought that to me, that's the crux of all of this, of what happened growing up, who he is today.
Well, and funny, because when I did interview him on my show, and his, Gary and everybody came by afterwards and said, oh, my God, he never tells people that. Well, did anyone ever ask him? I'm a mom. I'm depressed. He had a mom who was depressed. It's the reason he became a performer, to make her laugh, to make her happy. There's so many things about his life story that are so fascinating, and the fact that his brain is able to work at the level that it is for this many years, for that many hours a day, is kind of unbelievable. It's like he's a marathon runner. And he never, ever gives up. And I don't know. I found him really easy to interview. And I didn't worry, whether or not any subject was off limits, and he talked about Artie and how it broke his heart. And he was very truthful. And I think that's all he ever asks for people on the show. Just tell the truth.
Rosie, would you like to have Howard on your TV show?
I don't know if that would fly at the own network. But, I think that there are venues for him, and when he agrees to do an interview, you just got to let him go. And I think the guy, has a tremendous amount of power in who he is and what he's lived in his worldview. And I think, it would be a fascinating interview, especially if we brought up all of the animosity and all of the stuff that went on between he and I for years. Years. It makes you believe there can be peace in the Mideast.
Yeah, maybe you can broker the deal with Oprah and have another one on the team. Rosie,
well, I will let you know how that goes.
All right. Hey, thanks for taking time to call in.
No problem. Thank you. I'm sorry I was a little late.
That's all right.
You know what's sad, though, Jeff, is that we pick sides. If Howard doesn't like somebody, then
That's
we
so
don't like
true.
somebody.
You have to.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know Rosie, but all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, she's coming on the show. We'll see how. And then I like her because how. And then
Oh,
Kathy
thank God,
Lee.
I can like Rosie again.
But it's weird.
I'm so happy you can all like me again.
No, it's
no longer throw shit at me at the mall. It's nice.
Yeah, sorry about that Slurpee.
All right, we're going to take a break. Thanks, Rosie. You're listening to Howard Stern Celebrity Superfan Roundtable on Howard 101.
Let me tell you something. I have like publicists and stuff, and I'm supposed to promote all this stuff, and they set up all these things for me. But on my own, like through Gary, I needed to be here. And I'm supposed to fly to LA. They had flights for me this afternoon, and I was like, well, I'll fly at night because I need to go to this thing. And to me, it's as good as being on Howard's show because I just want to be part of any of it. Gary to me is like, that's the show for me as well. Same goes for Robin and Fred. So I made sure that this was going to happen, and it was better than I could imagine. Because to see other fans, it's like Rob Thomas was saying, like you judge people. You're like, oh my God, we're the same. You're like you kind of judge people as good people as soon as you know that they're Howard fans. And it was great. I would do it. I would do that every day if I could. Because the other thing is, in my head, I was like, there's so much I want to say, but you just can't get it all in. And Howard, if you see this, I think you're the greatest. Every time you're in a conversation, every time you're interviewing someone, I am right there. I feel like I'm in between you and the person you're interviewing. I'm always like, what? It's always so intense to me. So I love it. And I hope I get to come on someday. But if I just do this, that's fine with me.
Every time I hear the old stuff, I'm amazed at we've been able to watch this guy grow up and grow and change and evolve and get married and have kids and divorce and then be single and then find another new love. Rob, what do you notice about him? What is most different now?
I mean, all of this obviously is speculation, just from being a fan and like what you can kind of glom off of when you're listening to on the radio. But there does seem to be this sense of less apologetic for his actual life. Like less apologetic for the fact that, yes, I have a beautiful wife. I'm completely in love with her. I love my daughters. I watch Dancing with the Stars. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm still a fucking badass. So
that's a great observation, because a lot of people that start on TV as maybe an average person and then get this life that's not average anymore, try to pretend that they're still that same person, and the audience can usually sense it. You don't look like that if you don't dress like that. You don't hang out with those people.
Yeah, I think Rob's right. Like the other side of that is just like, I think prior to that, he was uncomfortable with his own celebrity, right? And now he's like, he admits it. Yeah, I'm famous. Yes, I have a house in the Hamptons. And yes, I go to dinner with people like Natalie Maines. Like, he admits all that kind of stuff. Whereas I think prior he was, still played the underdog and no one likes me and girls would never want to, hit on me. And if I wasn't married, no one would. And now he's just like, yeah, I could get her.
There was also this bad boy image, right, that would always kind of follow him around, the bad boy of radio. And then I think since then there have been so many imitators that have come on to be shock jocks and think that they're the next Howard Stern that it seemed redundant for him to just completely play up that part of his image. It's done. There's so many people that are doing it worse than him that, he's a bad boy. He's got naked women riding the Sibian in his room. Like, what more does he need to tell you about how bad he is?
What about his looks? When I saw him on Letterman, Natalie, I'm serious. He has become He's
handsome.
becoming, a refined-looking guy. A guy with money, a guy who's got some people helping him, or he's decided to
That's
take
funny
more
how that
attention.
happens, though. Like you look at Tina Fey. Like Tina Fey just got hot one day. Oh, what did happen?
She got famous.
Oh, it's money. Yeah, a little bit of money, man.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
But there's the scene in Private Parts when Howard is on the plane and he turns and you can see his nose. I don't know if he tweeted about, like, that's one of those moments where Howard goes, God, look how ugly I was. Or in his mind saying that. Whereas I think now he understands who he is, and he still has those pockets where he goes back to, when he was in high school and, how he's dressing, or nobody talked to him. But that moment at the end of Private Parts when he turns there in the seat, and I went, I wonder if he's cringing when he sees that.
Well, he is now. Now that you mentioned it, he'll be like,
Yeah.
He's into fashion a lot more. I know that me personally, like I hear him say something like John Varvatos, and I'll run out and go like, let me go check this John Varvatos out and see what this is all about, because he's a tall guy, and I look at that. I'm a tall guy, and there's not many things you can fit into. So when he says something like that, I pay attention. It seems like he's just a lot more into popular culture and what people are wearing and doing nowadays. Like going
that's
to the Knicks
Beth too, I
games.
think.
You never
Like
saw that.
My wife is into fashion, and so we go to a lot of like fashion shows, and we see Beth at a lot of those, and I can see that influence kind of going into Howard now. Where because they do share, like when you're married to somebody and you're close, you share a life and you share all of those things, and so there's got to be some sort of osmosis that goes on there where you pick up a little bit from them and they pick up a little from you.
But do you think that's because that happened after the divorce, that these things started becoming more prevalent in the show?
I don't know. I felt a real shift with Beth. For me, I noticed a softer side, a guy who was able to give you a break, and as Rob says, wasn't afraid to say, no, we watch The Bachelor because I like The Bachelor, not because my wife wants me to. I like it.
Those Monday shows, though, when he was single for that brief period of time, those Monday shows were amazing because you were glued because you want to know what was he doing? Yeah, what was going on?
Who has long red hair, was on a TV series in the 80s.
Right.
I do wish, for somebody who is as open, as honest as he is about his entire life, I do wish you knew a little bit more about that period of time. And, that he makes references to times that he would go with scores with Ralph and the gang and everything like that. You do kind of like, because, at least for me, like, I live vicariously through Howard, and love listening to it and have for years. And so I would like to know more about that period of time.
All right, scale of 1 to 10. What's our guess now? Because he has started to hint a little more about it. Natalie, 1 to 10, 1 being he didn't do much, 10 meaning he tore the walls down. During that time he was single, how good did it get?
For how, I think he took it to a 9, but, but says, he could have gone longer.
What do you think, Dan? Do you get a sense?
I'm gonna say lower than that. I think there's a conscience that he has. So I think as much as he would love to play the role, that I think there was still a part of him that you're monogamous, and I think that there's also that part of him that's who he is. He fell in love with Beth.
Some people are nesters.
Yeah, and I just feel like Howard wants one person, and I think he probably had a taste of it. Plus, radio hours at that, those hours, those are shitty hours to party. So I think that also may have.
Yeah, I think he was probably
in.
having a good time, but he didn't close the deals as much as you would expect.
Sometimes it's better just to know you can without going through the whole process of doing it.
I don't know.
Isaiah is not sold.
I don't know.
Well, I'm a married man.
I like to know I can and do.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Thank you.
I don't know.
You can have mine, Isaiah.
But I feel like
Isaiah's voice just changed. He went into the pickup guy.
he did.
I like to know I can.
Right. And play that clip for Robin. Right. Exactly.
My palm just got a little sweaty.
Sorry. I think that he got really close. He got to an 8 and maybe saw the promised land and saw I can get there. But I don't have to. And then he kind of pulled back and said, okay, enough is enough.
I would say maybe like a 7 or 8. I feel like, and for some reason I'm forgetting this, maybe you guys can help me, but I feel like there was one time he told a story that he was at a Hollywood party and he either had a 3-way or had a chance to have a 3-way, and he just wasn't comfortable in it. Like I don't know if it either went to completion or but that he either didn't want to go through with it, or at the end of it he just felt really bad and just didn't want to.
Wait, was he in the shower with Carmen Electra? Was it that party? Because that's another one. If I think I could have gone through with that if I'm in the shower with Carmen Electra. But didn't he have his underwear on or bathing suit on?
Yeah, I mean, there's stories like
maybe
that
he
that
didn't.
have seeped out.
Wait,
So
I'm going by body language from Gary over there. Maybe he didn't have anything on there with Carmen Electra.
We've had a lot of people waiting on the line. Let's take a call. Matt in Omaha, what's up?
Hey, everybody. How's it going, Natalie? I love you. I thought everybody could kind of go around the table and say if they could get rid of one person from the show, whether it be on the show or maybe a whackbacker, who would it be?
Natalie, you want to start?
Oh, geez. No, I want to end.
Dan Patrick.
Oh, God.
You've got to vote one person off the show.
There you go.
Nice. The island, right?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna use my lifeline and call Rob Thomas.
Wow. Now this happens every time. By the way, no one will ever say anything critical of the show. Isaiah, start
there we
it.
go.
All right, I'm gonna start. First of all, I got two actually.
Oh, wow.
You can loan one to Dan.
Yeah, I got a whack packer. Eric the / actor midget, whatever you want to call him. Like, I cannot stand. He's so ungrateful. He's so ungrateful.
But that's the beauty of him.
Exactly.
I
understand. I mean, he's
if
necessary.
he ever said thank you,
it's a necessary evil. But God, he just gets on my nerves like all the time. And then Sal would be the other one.
Oh,
really?
Isaiah.
I'm sorry.
You know, Isaiah, you talked about wanting to be on the show,
right?
Yeah, it's dwindling fast.
Sal is the other one. You know, I mean, I think Sal's necessary because it's just he says so many ridiculous things. And I love it when he comes in the wrap-up show because it's like all those guys. He comes in, it's like, oh please, Sal, just say something crazy so
all
we can
of
go back.
Sal's shit alone is worth it for the one moment when Howard told him they were not coming back.
That's such a great moment.
Top 5.
I was so uncomfortable.
Oh, my
like,
God.
There's so many moments. Like I know that a lot of people's favorite part is the prank phone calls, and they're hilarious. But I get uncomfortable when I'm sitting listening to them. Like when they start to get to that point where it just presses in the other part. I literally feel myself wanting to turn the channel and come back to it when the call's over. And I felt that way about the Sal
How
crime
far
moment. I
is
was
he
just
going to
like,
take it?
Yeah, I felt like I just wanted to give
Oh
him a
my
hug.
God, not me. I listened to that over and over and over, and then I had to watch it on Howard TV to see him crying. You just could not have asked for a better reaction. That could not have played out any better.
I have a question of the superfans about that specific moment, though. Do you buy that it was real? Because because he was there for 2 hours. Someone doesn't text him saying you're back. Someone, I mean, do you think like he sort of went along with it? He was drunk across the street. He'd slept in. He'd slept in, but still, I would think somebody would have texted him
he said his wife texted him, something that wasn't blatant, and so he did think it was good news. But then he says when he got there, and all of that started unfolding, and he's watching Howard say it, that seemed like the truth. I mean, that seemed like the word. The text
it was
from
almost
his wife
too
didn't
good.
mean much.
And that's probably why, Matt, that you're listening to it going, no, that's not. Because I listened, and then I listened again, because I thought, oh, no, he's in on it. And then as I listened the next time, then I realized I think that Howard got him.
Yeah, because what you would be saying essentially is that Sal is this great actor.
Right. That's Eric the actor.
Right. That's the flaw in my argument. Yeah. I don't know that it's true or not. It was so perfect, Dan. You're absolutely right that it was a great radio moment regardless.
Yes.
But
all right, Matthew.
Hey, I wanted to know, you guys that are close up to Matthew, from here, Matthew resembles Richard. Is that the case in person?
A little bit.
I've gotten that before. I've gotten people say. I've gotten a couple of different people, but yeah, Richard Christie comes up.
When I first walked in the green room, that's what I thought.
So Isaiah had balls enough to throw him out and say a couple of names.
I'm never going to be on the show.
Matthew, you're up.
I don't know that there's one person that I would want to kick off, because even the annoying people, I think there's something funny. But can I choose pieces of people? Like with the Sal. Like I agree. I'm with everyone else. Like I would not want Sal off the show, but I could do without Sal getting naked at every drop of the hat and wanted to make out with Richard and masturbate on his back and all the
those are my points also.
Those are the things where it's just I get a little creeped out about it. I'm not a huge fan of kind of the scatological stuff sometimes. So it was High Pitch Eric that was in the Craptacular, right? Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't mind if we never heard from him again.
He would High Pitch Eric would be mine. But then, I was riding in and on the ride in here and listening to the Mammary Lane. And they were going. They had when they had his birthday and everybody came in and just fucking slammed him just one after the other. And I was like, but if you didn't have that little guy to kick the shit out of, that funny moment wouldn't have happened.
How about for you, Dan?
There are moments with people. I agree with Matthew there. I don't know, Crackhead Bob. There's certain moments though with people that you just go, I could do without that. High pitch Eric drives me crazy sometimes. Just and for no real reason except then when you bring out the fish, when you bring out the fish and you hear this screeching voice there. So there's certain redeeming qualities there, but. I have to. Isaiah was rough. He gave up.
Back to what Isaiah had said about Eric the Midget. I have to say, part of the fun. Someone asked me on Twitter the other day if I miss, him and that he's not on the show. And part of the fun is missing him. I love that he's holding out. And I also want to recommend people follow Eric the actor on Twitter. It's not the real Eric. But, oh, my God, this person is hysterical. Whoever does that. Everything is illegal. He fights with everybody. If he's going to do something, I won't do that. That's illegal. That's ridiculous. That's so stupid. And it is really good. Really
Natalie,
good
quit avoiding. Who are you voting off the show?
You know what? I'm going to go with who runs Howard TV?
Scott DePace. That would be my vote. Is that who you're thinking?
Yeah.
It's funny. Nobody could come up with anything, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I want that fucker out too."
He comes across so poorly, and the whole thing with the baby clothes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to take my back and change
But it all fits though. But you have to have those characters. You have to. I mean,
most of them,
works.
yes. I really don't think Scott adds much.
Yes, I might get rid of JD.
No.
Yeah, but the reason is the guy. I want to shake him. Just can you put together a fucking sentence, please?
I know.
That's the charm of him.
Just sort of pop in and the music's great when he comes in, and I just say, spit it out.
I said him last time, and then and Natalie defended him, and I started listening more closely, and I've really become fond of JD now. I'm starting to see the heart in him, and he sounds like a really nice guy. And I do wonder how he gets through a day when you hear how difficult it is for him to speak. But
he's radio gold.
After hearing everything about Sal, I'm going to go ahead and say the same thing about Sal. I've really come to appreciate everything that is Sal Governal.
JD, take the open mic. We love you. You're coming into a room that loves you.
Where's the music?
Yeah.
Hi, JD.
Wearing a Cincinnati Reds.
By the way, I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, so...
thank you. So, yeah. JD, what you've missed is... Get those headphones on. What you've missed
Where
is...
am I going?
No.
What? How close do you want?
Hang on.
And it begins.
Hang on. Everybody's already picking on him. Yes. All you've missed is...
In his head. Nobody said anything.
We're talking about if we had to kick somebody off the show, who would it be? And I said last time I mentioned you, but that I've since I've been listening...
You said you didn't get me.
I didn't get you. Now I get you. And what I see in you now is a really big heart. Like that you're a really good guy.
I try.
But what Dan was just saying as you were walking down is imagine this guy trying to order dinner.
I can order dinner fine.
Now, see, you're not stumbling here at all.
Yeah. Sorry, what do you want from me?
But Howard does that to him, I think.
Is that what it is, JD?
I don't know. I just talk. And,
you're acting like you don't know what we're talking about.
No, it's not Howard, because he does it on the wrap-up show, too.
Yeah. Listen, if it's about my personal life or stuff like that, or I don't know, I think sometimes I don't like Jason laughing at me so much. I'll tell you that.
He's radio gold, dude.
No, what was the question? I just if sometimes I think of something and then I don't want to say it, so that's sort of where the trouble comes in.
So, JD, let me ask you this. Do you feel like, I'm curious what goes on in your head why you can't get things out? Because I can get tongue-tied and, that sort of thing as well. And is it that so many things are coming into your head at once, you can't organize them to get the sentence out?
It's something like that. It could be just something personal that I don't want to say or something I think is funny but not that confident in. stuff like that.
But if you got chopsticks and you're at Ryan Phillippe's house,
that was just a mess. I was drunk.
Yeah, but that's
JD. I've been.
I want to ask too, JD, when you were on the medication, did you notice, because people did say that you seemed more confident around there, and I am wondering if the medication made you more articulate and a little more confident with your speaking and your words, if it helped you in that way at all.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Jason said he noticed a difference, but I don't think there was much of a difference in me. Besides me gaining like 50 pounds, I don't know.
JD, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When
and that's just melted off since you've stopped.
All right, Hardy. Yuck it up. I should say that for Twitter.
But I'm with you, JD. But I'm just saying.
I know. You can unfollow me anytime.
I believe last week at some time, I think Gary said something about you got so angry when you saw this hot girl that you were kicking or something.
What?
I remember on the Rapper Show, Gary said something. If Gary want to come in here and clarify, because I'm
wait, but didn't he say that he had a chance with Piers Morgan's?
No. I did say I had a chance. I would have.
You would like to have had a chance.
I would have asked her out.
Yeah.
But whether she would have said yes, I doubt it. But it would have been. She was hot, for Christ's sake. You got to take a chance sometimes,
My question is though, when you got to take a chance.
Shut up! What?
Keep reaching for the stars, JD.
But see, that is the greatest pickup line ever.
Yeah,
come on, you got to take a chance sometime.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what I hear. What the fuck,
Rob? This is the part of JD though that I've fallen in love with. Is he's been sincere right now? You mean it, right? You got to take a chance. You never know.
Sometimes if a girl's hot enough, yeah, and there's some opportunity.
No other reason to take a chance on a girl. It's only about.
There's some
JD, is there a scale? Do you look at a woman and say she's in my league or out of my league, or is every woman in your league?
I don't know. If I'm attracted to a girl, yeah. No, I don't. Listen, I don't think any girl is attracted to me at first. That's my low self-esteem.
I just want to know if that's true. If you do get angry when that happens, where does that come from? Like, because it seems like you said right now. You said if you got to take a chance someplace. But then, if you're getting angry about it, you're kind of like stopping yourself before you start.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Lots of things just drive me angry, I guess.
Now, I follow all you guys on Twitter, and according to Twitter, at the Stern Beer Pong tournament, there were many, many attractive women, and it was insinuated they were all there because of you.
I don't know where that was insinuated, but that was not the case at all. They were not there. They were actually competing, and I didn't talk to him. I was too busy trying to play.
JD, who would you vote off?
When's the last time you got laid?
I care not to answer that question.
What?
I have not had any physical contact in 2011. I'll say that.
Who we've been playing our game. Who would we get off the show? Who would you vote off of your own staff?
Who would I vote off the own staff? Today, Jason, because he's laughing at me so hard. You know what? Everyone has their own sort of, quirk or whatever. I work with these people.
On this.
Would you cancel Ronnie permanently?
No. I love Ronnie. That was half the reason why I canceled the show, to get him angry, because that's funny.
JD, what was the vibe those last couple of months? Everybody, even when we did the most recent Celebrity Superfan, nobody was really talking. Everybody was on pins and needles about whether you're coming back or not. What were you really thinking was going to happen?
I felt we would be doing something. I didn't know where. So I was confident in the sense that I would have some sort of job, whether, when it started and how much I would be getting paid and whatever. That I didn't know. I wasn't confident.
Dan, did you have a vibe on whether or not the show was going away or in a new form coming back?
Well, I actually did research on it because I talked to people who are supposed to know these things, and I actually tried to pin him down to say he can't walk away. He can't walk away. And then somebody said, I'm going to walk away. They wouldn't answer the question for me. And I said, I'm going to take that as a yes, that he's coming back. And then I really wanted to know. Because I thought that it was such a great platform that I wouldn't want Howard to leave that platform empty, and it would be empty. I just thought that voice needed to be heard on a daily basis. And it wasn't just I think people always say this, it's about strippers. It's not. If you listen to Howard, what he's saying, when he's saying it, who he's saying it about, it's relevant in its bigger picture. And I always got the feeling it'd be a tough thing to walk away from.
Yeah, I think a lot of people save information in their personal lives to come on the show, and so that he'll ask those questions, because only he can get to those moments like nobody else. He can pull those things out of you, and you actually get closer to people when you listen to what they're saying. You become endeared, like David Arquette. You think like, wow, like there's someone in there that's crying out for help, and only Howard can get that out of somebody.
He's reached such a level that so few entertainers ever get, right? I mean, forget the popularity and the fame, but what he has is complete and utter creative control. And there's so few people. I don't have it. Dan doesn't have it. Jeff, you don't have it on Survivor. Right? So few people can basically do whatever they want, however they want, on whatever terms they want. And
I have it, but nobody gives a shit.
Right. Right. And Howard has, but no, you don't. I mean, are you telling me that there's something that you could turn in that the record company would release anything you put out? If you put out Philip Glass classical crap that
they
you
can't
like,
stop me from making it. Like nobody on my label hears any music until I'm done with it, and I give them the record and say, this is the record you're getting. If they don't put it out, that's why I say nobody gives a shit.
But that's what I'm saying. Well, I could get on the air and say anything I want, but that would be my last day at ESPN. I mean, and so that's my point. Is Howard can do whatever, and he has such a dream job for any entertainer.
Didn't you get confused though when Gary didn't know, unless he put on a good face, which I believe there was part of that Gary had to have a feeling, whether he'll admit to it or not. But I got the feeling that he would know. And I'd listen, and I'd go, I'll be damned. You know what? I don't know if he's coming back or not.
You know what? Well, let's get Gary in here for this last segment. We'll take a quick break. We'll put Gary on the hot seat, find out what was really going on before the re-sign. Howard, 101, Celebrity Superfan. Be right back. In our remaining moments, one thing I wanted to ask you guys, this is something Natalie loves to vent about, which is if you run into a friend that doesn't like Stern, what do you do? Rob, have you ever had that situation? They go, oh, no, I don't listen
I go
to
into
him.
straight defense mode. Like, even if they don't listen, but definitely if they have like some kind of derogatory or negative thing to say about it, I immediately find myself, well, you just don't fucking know. You just you obviously don't understand.
Does it influence how you look at them?
Yeah, I think to some degree, because one of the things that I admire the most about the people that I surround myself with is a good sense of humor, and to me that's a good gauge. Like if you don't think that that's funny, then I don't think you understand humor. Like I understand maybe if you just don't have time in your day to make it a part of your life. But if you have and you just walked away from it going, I just don't get it, then I think that says something about your humor deficit.
The thing I always say is what my buddy who introduced me 20 years ago to him said. He said, just give it a week. Listen for a full week. And if you don't like him after a full week, then I'll shut up. And like the first day I listened, I'm like, I don't get any of these jokes and I don't understand. And wait, was he really talking or is that a tape? I don't understand. But by the end of the week, it was like, I get it. Now I get it. And it was like, and I was hooked. I was hooked for 20 years. The other thing I'll say is that for people that are like, that always say, oh, well, he's just strippers and he's just like, I'm just like, I don't think you understand like how smart this guy is, what an amazing interviewer he is. And by the way, what this guy has accomplished, like how he's redefined what a morning DJ is. Like he's completely redefined what that position is. And he's done so many things in his career that are so revolutionary. I mean, people forget that like 15 years ago, everyone was like, morning radio has to be local. It has to be local. You can. And there was such controversy when he was going to do Philadelphia and New York. They're like, there's no way he can survive in Philadelphia. He's not a local guy. I mean, he broke through those barriers, and now there's satellite radio. Now there's all sorts of syndication, and that's all Howard. I mean, it's just like saying like, all right, if you don't enjoy the entertainment, at least respect what the man's accomplished.
Yeah, especially like disc jockey. The term disc jockey is because all these guys their job was just like shut up, say the name of the call letters, tell the weather, and then jockey the disc, play the record, put it on. And the fact that like the music, isn't even a part of it. This is just you want to hear what he has to say all the time.
I don't try to change people. If you don't listen, it's your loss, because I think if you listen,
you're dead to me.
But I think if you listen, then you understand. And having been in this business for a long time and understand how hard it is to orchestrate what he does on a daily basis, and to be able to bring out things in people you've never met, but you only hear a voice and you actually care about them. I care when Richard's father calls in from the farm. Yeah. I mean, that's the brilliance of all of it. The interviews, that he's always going to do that. He's going to do that as well as anybody, if not better than anybody. But what he does in that three-ring circus, that's where the true brilliance shines through. But I don't try to convince anybody anymore. Well, I don't try to.
Isaiah, your date's going well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 10:30, 11. You're back ready to head back to her place, and Howard comes on the radio, and she says, "Oh my God, I hate this guy." Do you close the deal, or is that a deal breaker?
Wait, so she said this as we're going back into
your place.
So Nev Campbell, you're going back to her hotel room.
Okay.
Yeah, and she
tells you how much.
Hey, baby. You know what? Oh God, somebody brought up Howard Stern, and I hate Howard Stern.
Well, let's just sit in the car and give it a chance. Let's take a listen.
No, you go have angry sex with her and never call her again.
You grudge fuck that out of her.
The angry sex comes after she says, "No, I don't want to listen," and then the angry sex comes.
I'm noticing the looks on your kids' faces, Gary, out there.
The angry sex comes after you had sex with her, and then tell her it's a deal breaker.
All right, Gary. So give us as much insight as you can into what Natalie and I were badgering you about last time we did this. How worried were you? Because on one of the few interesting things Piers got out of Stern was there was a moment he said, "I seriously considered quitting."
Yeah, I mean, I think Dan asked when I did his show in November, and I did two Celebrity Superfan Roundtables. One was in May, one was in October. In May, I genuinely didn't know. And Howard talked about it on the radio. I'm glad I didn't have to keep this secret. I was out at his house in August, and we were just sitting around, me, him, and Tim, and he goes, well, this much I do know. I want to continue. I just got to figure out if I can do it at Sirius or where we'll do it. So I felt better about that. But there was a period of time at the beginning of the year, even when it got to be May, Howard had always signed his deals really early on. I mean, even the satellite deal was 17 months before we got here. So it's now getting into the summer, and Howard has, and I'd see him in the morning, and I tried not to badger him, but it would come up, just organically, and he goes, I don't know what I'm going to do, and that would be very, very scary. So I did believe that there was a potential for him to leave, and then like late August, he pretty much told all of us. He said it on the air. I want to continue this in some way.
There's a moment that you have with yourself, at least I had as a listener, where you hear that he may not be coming back, and you really ask yourself for a second. You say, "What am I going to do in the morning?" Yeah. And you're serious about that question. You're thinking like, how am I going to go on about my life and not hear him every day?
I've already started thinking, like, do we think we can get another 5 years? Like, I've already started worrying about what happens in year 6.
When does he start counting down the days, though? How deep into the contract before he starts counting?
I don't know, but I actually do think that this is the final contract. I've never thought it before, but I do think it now.
But what would he do next? It seems like this outlet for him is much like therapy, his life, show.
It seems like he'd be an amazing producer.
Do you think that Howard is one of those guys that has to be like Carson or Regis and just do it until you can't do it any longer?
I don't know that I do in the sense that it's what fuels him. I think.
Yeah, he talked about being on a break, and when he was on that break, that whole time that he was off, he would listen to stuff that was going on in the news, and the fact that he couldn't go and talk about it and give his opinion about it.
He used to talk about that more. We always talk about when we're on break, that everyone seems to die when we're on break. But I think that more recently, he's become more comfortable with the fact, like, okay, you're always going to miss stuff. When I come back, I'll just be me. I don't know that urgency is. I'm not saying he doesn't put everything in on the show, but I don't think that urgency about having to get back is the way it used to be.
Do you think that the hours have a huge part? I mean, the idea of spending your entire life waking up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning and having to go to bed at 8, like that has to play into it at some point.
It does. I mean, we've all gotten sort of used to it. It's been a very long time since we've come in and gone, oh my God, it's so early. Because once you do it a lot, it just becomes what you do. Right. Do you get up every morning and say it's too early?
I have. But the one thing I'll miss the most when it's all done are the phone calls from his parents, like him imitating his parents. I think then you really feel a genuine, like he's got a heart in what really matters to him the most. And he talks about his mom and his dad, and that's what I always come back to. It's my favorite moment because I think he sheds a light into him.
Yeah, one of the things that I've really enjoyed is that Howard...
That sounded really gay.
No, I think that's...
Right.
It's the thing. Howard will talk about his relationship with his dad when he was younger and how it was almost non-existent. And now he talks about his father with such love that it is really sweet to see. Not everybody gets to have that. Not everyone gets to have that sort of resolution.
Right. Last segment on the show. Right. Natalie, one question for Gary.
Well, I just want to ask everyone there, is it hard to look at Gary and not picture him throwing a baseball and how ridiculous that is?
Wow. Why don't you just kick him in the nuts?
You're sports guys. You're sports guys.
That was a while ago now.
You know what was bad, though, Natalie, is when Robin did it on Kimmel.
Oh, my God.
That one I thought was above, and that was inside. That was inside the bell.
You mean you thought it was sort of a low blow?
I thought it was a low blow.
I'll tell you what it made me think, honestly. My heart went out to Gary because I know I've seen those kids, and it made me certain that my boys and girls will know how to throw a ball because it's such a fundamental thing as you get older to be able to just pick up any ball and throw it.
But as you get older, it's harder to do these athletic things. Like being a former athlete, I just my heart went out to you because I thought like it's so hard to do stuff like that. You know, when we haven't been doing it for so long.
I think it's so funny.
Poor
I think
Gary.
it
The look
bothered-
on Gary's face right now.
Listen, this bothered Gary more than anything else. More than the "I'm sorry" tape. More than the sleeping. Gary was so bothered.
Natalie
by
a
the
dark
pitch.
streak.
Oh no,
Natalie
there's no
has a
doubt.
real dark streak.
She does. She listen. She loves Howard because there's a little of Howard in her. Right? You like to sort of. She likes to sort of get in and dig, and that's why she makes a great guest.
Well,
But Gary, honestly, I watched that thing in the slow motion.
Oh, come on.
I love you, but I really honestly think maybe you don't know how to throw. You did like this sideways flick of the wrist. It was very
We're going to let
retarded.
Natalie and Gary continue this conversation off the air.
I'm ready to make nice.
Oh, good. Well, that's
Are you ready
it.
to have
Give
a
us some
little catch?
music. We are done. This is Celebrity Superfan number 4. Thanks to Howard Stern and everybody for letting us sit in here. Dan Patrick, Rob Thomas, Fred Armisen, who left earlier, Isaiah, Mustafa, Matthew Berry, and Natalie Maines. Thanks, guys. Great panel. Let's do it again.
Or a joke or some sort of like inside like ribbing. It's way funnier to me because they have such a history that you wonder like I wonder like if that goes back to something that they've experienced before or goes back to something that they've seen before. You know, it's just it's one of those things that I really like. I'm dying to ask if I ever get on the show. It's like one of my questions that I'm gonna definitely write down and be like, so tell me like this dynamic between you and Fred. Like, can you tell me about it?
That was great. I could have done that all day long. Like, you know, the great thing about it is like, I got to do in front of a microphone what I do with my friends all the time, right? I got to actually talk about Howard with people that are like-minded, that are huge Howard fans. So it's cool, right? You know, that like, oh, Jim McClure, I've heard your name on the air so many times. And, you know, just being able to talk with Jason and JD and Steve Brandano and all the names you hear, it's cool, man. It's really fun. It's a Stern fan dream come true.